We're gonna be talking to him about that, how he fishes shallow water, how he finds these out of the way. I think weren't you guys out fishing today?
Kinda.
More like trying to pull something. Welcome to Bass University Live, everybody. I'm your host, Pete Gluzak. Welcome to another Tuesday night full of bass fishing facts and theories and talk. And we've got a really interesting show tonight. I love this topic. We're going to be talking about co-angling. It was such a popular episode the last time we did it, and we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do several episodes about this topic because it's such a popular thing to talk about, how to be successful out of the back of the boat, the mental side of it, the technique side of it, the strategy behind being the guy that's getting the second shot at targets. It's fascinating. So I hope you'll stay with us tonight and join in the conversation. We have a great group. As always, we've got our people. I see a full house. We've got Greg DePalma, Elite Series Pro, with us tonight. How are you, GDP?
I'm good, Pete, man.
We spent a lot of time together this past week.
We did, man. We shot some really good stuff for the Bass University. I think you guys might want to go subscribe for this one.
I loved it. Greg, you did a lot of stuff with Humminbird and how to utilize your sonar. And I had Jeff immediately upload the raw footage so that I could get more tutorials before the editing process starts. I want to see all the details. It was great. You did an amazing job. I think people are really going to love it.
Good, thank you.
It was great spending some time with you and getting on the Maurice River. And we can talk a little bit about that. But we've got sitting right next to you, we've got a great co-angler. We've all fished with him. Sean McKee, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Pete. How are you?
Man, I'm great. It's great to have you on the show. You've been super successful as a co-angler. You've won a lot. We fished together, and we're going to be talking about a topic that you're very, very good at. So I'm excited to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's really cool for you guys to have guys like me and Moo and the other co-anglers just giving us some exposure, and it's going to be fun. Thanks.
I'm psyched. I can't wait to see where your head is because we talked with different anglers last time, and I'm really interested in where your head is with it and how you strategize and prepare and I'm going to go over to Moo Bay, who's with us tonight. He's in the 100,000 Air Club in winnings over on the co-angler side. He's
Wow.
zooming in. He's zooming in from Maryland, right, Moo?
Right. Yep.
Good to have you with us, man. I appreciate you taking the time and sharing the knowledge.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you bet. I saw you down at the FLW on the recent Potomac River Toyota Series we just fished, and I've fished with Moo in some FLW tournaments, as has GDP, and as well as you were with Riz in his recent win on the Upper Chesapeake.
Yes, I was. I had a great time with all of you guys. So, and I did win with you from the back of the boat. So it was a lot of fun.
So that would make me the best boater to
What do you mean?
with in this group.
He won with me too, Pete. And that was like 2 weeks ago.
Hey, well, he said me first, Riz, so that
Yeah.
trumps it, I guess. But
Tough crowd.
that is a tough crowd. You're a great angler. Thanks for being with us. And of course, behind the scenes, you hear Riz's voice handling the IMs. And we've got BTC pushing the buttons. And glad to have both you guys with us tonight.
Right on.
And yeah, fresh off the win and paired up with Moo, it was awesome. And I'm looking forward to hearing the details. I'm looking forward to hearing both of you guys' impressions of, don't be afraid to dish the dirt on me. How bad was I? Did I front end you? Did I cut you off? How hard did I make your life? I'm looking forward to hearing the stories.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. That was one of my first big tournaments that I made a cut. So it was my first one. So I was excited to draw Pete, and I fished with him. Fortunately, 2 days in that tournament, first day and day 3.
Oh, wow.
Where were you guys?
Lake Erie.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Greg fished that one.
Yeah, we stayed together, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it was. We'll get into it, but it was. I learned a lot. And it was a lot of fun.
You learned how to navigate 6-foot waves for 60 miles.
Yes, and that was again. That I don't know if you want to get into it now, but that's the one thing. I knew the weather forecast, and I saw my draw, and I saw Pete he's a captain. He's got experience. I am not worried one bit, and that's kind of the mentality I want to be when it's time to be a boater. I want my co-angler to look at me and be like, whatever happens, I know he can handle it. And that's what I felt with Pete, and I was 100% secure.
I appreciate that, and
That's whose
we
boat
could
he
dive
wants
in.
to be in when Jesus comes. Pretty much what he said. That's what I heard.
It was rough. I mean, I took Sean across Lake Erie in 20-mile-an-hour winds. You know, we were within 5 miles of the North Shore.
Mm-hmm.
And, we navigated the whole lake through that stuff, and but the fishing got tougher on us. But we'll dive into that story a little bit. It was a great event for both of us, and a lot of fun. And guys, I want you to bring your questions. Bass U subscribers, if we use your question on the air, we are going to hook you up with some cool prizes. And we've got a lot of other promotions going on tonight, Riz. And I'm going to pass the ball to you and let you tell everybody about what we have going on.
That's right, Pete. Tonight we have a lot of things going on. We, as always, have a grand prize pack from our great sponsors, as well as a Facebook like and share package. The real deal is the grand prize, guys. So what you want to do is get over to bashu.tv/live. Use code BashULive30 to try out the whole program, 30 days for free. Get full access to over 700 videos on the website. And you get your questions into tonight's show. Anybody that gets a question through, we're going to send you a prize. I just earned myself about 90 push-ups as I'm looking at Brian here, and I'm using his mic, so I'm a little bit spun out, but that's okay. If you guys haven't signed up for Bash U TV yet, now's the time. We have a great promotion going on as well for our annual subscribers. You sign up annually, and you get a shopping spree with Tackle Warehouse. So we're not only going to teach you how to fish, we're also going to give you the tackle to do it with.
That's right, guys. And stick around till after the show and check out the Bass University Instagram, where Rich will be doing a lot of push-ups. Live.
How many's a lot?
Yeah.
90.
I think I just earned myself like 90 right
Yeah,
there.
I think it's 90.
Can't do that many.
Nope.
That's for every time Riz says the word PRIZE.
That's
he has
right.
20 push-ups. I heard it quite a few times, but I wouldn't have anybody else handle our promotions.
Or the
Riz,
push-ups.
Push-ups. Exactly. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and I want you to get your questions together. If you haven't subscribed to Bash U, you can do it free for 30 days right now. Go over to bashu.tv. Use the code, what's the code? BashULive30. And you can get 30 days free for Bash U. So you can talk to the guys, get your questions answered, win some prizes. So we are going to be right back in about 5 minutes with the co-angler edition of Bass University Live. Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom, goes the dynamite.
Every moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse. Everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
Not good.
Motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Gotta keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Bass University Live Co-Angler Edition. And it's really a fun show. I love this show, hearing about all the different strategies and techniques that guys use to be successful in the back of the boat. And we've got a couple real talented co-anglers that have won a lot of money, and they're here for you guys to ask questions to, and we're going to be talking to them through the night. And of course, we've got great Sean McKee with us and in studio, but we're going to start out tonight with Moo Bay. He's won. I'm going to read some of these stats. He won over $138,000 fishing as a co, 2 wins, 24 top 10s. That is an impressive stat, and 5 FLW Cup appearances. All just tremendous stats fishing as a co-angler. And I'm super excited to talk to you about it, Moo, and really glad you were able to take some time and be with us tonight.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
138,000 G's, man. I didn't think you could win that much fishing from the back of the boat.
I got lucky a lot of times. So.
Yeah, all the people that are good often say that. And, I had the pleasure of fishing with you, and I could see some skill sets there that, were pretty deadly. Get you around the fish, you're going to catch them. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, when you're fishing as a co-angler, there's certain people that you get paired up with, knowing that you're going to be around fish, and you get a little more confidence fishing. So you slow down a lot, and I had pleasure to fish with you twice. I think one on Champlain, and then once on the Upper Bay when I did win on the Bass Open. So I did also have a pleasure to fish with Greg and Rich. So I think with Greg, I think I fished with him down in James River.
Yep.
I fished with Rich when he won his BFL first tournament. So,
man, you got to fish with us all on bodies of water that we're super confident in, man. How how does that work? Do you like pay money under the table for these draws, or how's that work out?
exactly. There's still a little connection there now. Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, man, I remember fishing on the Upper Chesapeake with you, and I had forgotten about it till you just mentioned that again. And that was a real stingy tournament, just like we fished down at the Potomac, where boy, any fish you caught was gold in that tournament.
Exactly. And I was super happy to get that first bite from the back of the boat behind you, and knowing that I was I think I was in second place, and the fishing was so tough. I just wanted any type of bite. So I did get 2 from the back of the boat, and that was enough to take the win. So
did you win a boat in that tournament? What was the prize?
It was a boat. So that was actually when I was fishing with you. It was my back-to-back year that I won. I won in 2008 and 2009, I think, on the Upper Bay also. So.
Man, that's true. And then you had a great draw with Rich, and you won that too, that BFL with Rich?
Yes. He won on the boater side. I won on the co-angler side, and
he edged me out. He just edged me out.
I got scared when I saw 4 fish in his bag. So, but it was enough. But fishing with Rich was great. He was doing his own thing, and when you're on the back of the boat and when you see a guy who's in a contention to win, you got to let him give him all the space, much as possible. And, even if I don't catch any fish, you got to give him the space. So, but he rocked it. So,
boy, he sure did. By 8 pounds, that was pretty impressive. And that leads me to, I guess, one of my first questions for you is, boy, that's got to be hard. You're in contention to win that tournament too, as well as your boater's in contention to win. Man, how do you manage that mental side of that game?
Well, I try to take my opportunity when it comes. And, Rich was very lenient. He told me to, I can cast up forward, and, I kind of talked with him in the beginning just to find out where his comfort level is and how far I can cast forward without distracting his fishing style. So when I found certain spots that I can cast to, I was able to cast, but it just wasn't happening for me. So Rich was catching all the big ones and got me all frustrated. But but at the same time, there was a moment where I had my opportunity to catch a fish, and I ended up catching back-to-back fish. So that was enough to win it.
Can I ask Moo a question quickly?
Please.
Moo, when you just mentioned a good thing, you were getting very frustrated, and I have a hard time at certain times during the tournament. If you're having a bad day, you can't get a bite, you get in your head and you get frustrated. What pulls you out of it? I mean, for me, I haven't figured that out yet. I mean, if I get a bite and I get something that helps, but how do you get out of that funk?
I go back to my biggest thing is I go back to my most comfort bait that I feel most comfortable in. And when I in that situation, I have to slow myself down, and go to my Cinco or my drop shot that will help me settle down and kind of regroup myself.
Go to your confidence tools. That works in the front of the boat too when you get in trouble.
No doubt. It does. When you have that, and it will slow you down, I think, and especially as a co-angler, I think you really need to capitalize on your strength rather than trying to figure out what the boater in front of you is doing. So I know that a lot of times that co-angler wants to do what the boater is doing, but a lot of times bass aren't going to bite the same thing that the boater is doing. So.
What do you guys think is like Brian and I were talking a little bit about this coming into the show, is the importance of the mental approach on the co-angler side versus technique specific driven stuff. What do you think? Is the mental side the most important side, or is it more technique driven as the most important thing as a co-angler?
I think there's certain mental side where you just need to relax and be there as a, I know it's a competition, but at the same time, co-angling is more of learning experience. And I know some co-anglers are very competitive, trying to even beat the front of the boater. And I know there's a lot of issues with that, but for me, it's, I'm going there and I'm learning on what new techniques I can find out or figure out, and how the person is fishing differently from what I used to fishing with. And a lot of times that, helps me get more bites actually, because I want to do something a little different or do the same thing, but in a different way of my own style. So mentally, yes, but I think being in the co-angler side, you have to go in with an open mind and take in like a sponge and absorb everything you see and what the boater's doing. So,
well, that mental side is so important. And Ty here on Facebook's talking about Randy Blaukett's philosophy that, just like you said, Moo, it's about learning, and as being one of the most important components, which can take the pressure off, and I guess and let the tournaments come to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know to get a chance to go out fishing if you don't have a boat. I mean, what a great opportunity to get behind behind someone who knows how to fish and just learn. And I mean, you can never learn enough about fishing. So everyone has their own little technique that you can learn from. So, and maybe I can teach them something, and most of the time I learn something from them.
I agree with you, and I've seen this, and I say this a number of times, because yeah, you can learn when a guy's catching them, like GDP's down on the James River, right? Is one of his confidence areas. You're going to learn how to catch them, but it's also important to learn from guys that are lost, like how not to do stuff. I think that's equally as important, when you're in that spot and you're trying to learn from guys that are making mistakes.
Correct. And you can see their frustration, when they make wrong decision, then they catch the wrong tide, or they move before, either way. I mean, they're just, you can learn by saying, well, next time if I'm in that situation, maybe I should do this or do that. And it does mentally prepare me to be better when I'm a boater, actually. So,
I wish I had you or Sean in the boat with me down on the Potomac and tell me to stop scrambling around and wasting time and get back to punching.
Right.
Well, that's kind of a good question, Pete. So, Moo, looking out here, you fished 150 events. Out of how many of them 150 events have you actually helped your boater out?
Probably maybe a handful.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from what their practice. If they said that they have nothing and their practice horrible, I would just make suggestions. I wouldn't never say, hey, go here or go there. It's just, I want them to feel comfortable and get into their own strength and comfort level that it will get us almost like a team tournament from then on to figure out how to catch fish. So
that's important.
I think that's a really good point too. Like you just said, work together. In the Bassmaster Opens, there's been times where I've had some, really good co-anglers also, to where sometimes they're just throwing something different and kind of put something together that I didn't figure out. So as far as the co-angler side goes, from my point of view as a boater, And I think it's pretty good if you guys just work together, and most co-anglers do. I mean, that's a big part of it for sure. And I'm sure Sean can contest to that also.
Yeah, I always said it's if you fish, it's a long day, and if you start off on the wrong foot and you're not getting along, it's going to be a crappy day for you in the back, and it's going to be crappy for the guy in the front. So if you try to help each other, I offer guy my bite of my chicken at lunch, or just what do you want? If I'm catching them, I've offered baits. I think on Erie, on that last day with Pete, I think I got a couple bites, and Pete was struggling up front, and I said, Pete, you can use one of these baits, and you looked at me, you're like, well, I think I have to at this point. And I don't think you caught any fish on it, but at least we were doing that back and forth.
Because it wasn't a black
It was actually.
No, I appreciate that, and it's I'd be flat out honest. It has helped me in the past, and I try to be, I like to try to give my co's an opportunity, and it's just my fishing style in general is more free. I'm often in the open water. I'm often there where there's opportunity, for everybody to catch them.
Yeah.
But I remember Lake Champlain, the first FLW I won, my partner, I was catching them on a jig, and it was a full-size jig. But during the tournament, the first day of the tournament, fishing pressure, water tank, I don't know really what happened, but man, they got off of it where I couldn't keep them off of it. Now they were off of it, and he found a finesse jig with a translucent trailer, and the fish were still there, but he figured out the trigger, and he was just gracious enough with them, and let me have the baits, and we both came in with just solid stringer fish. But I may not have ever done that without him. So some co's really have helped me over the years, and I try to help them back. And I love it when it's exciting like that, when you guys are both catching them, and it's fun all around.
Oh yeah,
it's a terrific day.
I got paired up with Greg on James River, and man, I learned a lot from Greg, because when the decision that he's making on the river, going from one area to another, it was just quick decision. And I was like, I would have fished it a little differently than he would, but it helped me realize that, at certain times you just have to give up and move. And I remember, I recall one area where he went into, it was so small, and it got me frustrated because I knew I couldn't make any more casts, because we just went through, like a foot of water, and it was all muddied up. But Greg would cast into forward and catch these 12-inch fish, which he didn't need. So I kind of asked him, I said, do you mind if I cast forward and get a couple of those 12-inch fish? And it really helped me a lot. So, sometimes when in certain situations, you kind of have to say, hey, I don't have any other choice except to cast forward.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with working together, too. Kind of the same deal. And I want to back up a hair, too. So Sean has traveled with me, multiple times for Bassmaster Opens, and the same for my buddy Brian Setlock. I really can't even count on one hand how many times these guys have helped me in practice. Back there doing what they do as far as rotating the baits that they have confidence in, and just, that whole gamut of things.
Do you guys practice? Do you go out of your way to go to the official practice, try to hook up with somebody, or do you typically show up just for the tournaments?
Go ahead, Moog.
Yeah, I used to go and practice with Bobby Lane on certain lakes, and I'll call up like certain pros, and they'll say, hey, come on up, and I'll have all week of practice time. So
it
does
huge help as a boater when you practice and you have somebody with you, like two lines in the water. Like it literally doubles your chances of figuring something out. And it's especially when you got somebody in the back of your boat that can really catch them. Like that's great.
That's good to know, because I sometimes put myself out there and ask boaters and guys I know, hey, look, do you need a practice partner? And I kind of feel like I'm imposing, but for the most part, I've heard the same thing. Well, no, man, I want you to throw something different and show me something. And
definitely.
Right.
Yep.
I personally, this year, I haven't practiced. I'd love to get out and practice if I can, but that's the one thing I like about being a co-angler is you don't have to devote as much time. You can show up, and for the most part, you're at the mercy of the boater. It's good to practice and have a feel for it, I found, but honestly, this year, out of all the tournaments, I didn't practice one day, and I can fish more that way. I don't have to take as much time off of work. I can just show up and learn on the fly, and that's what's worked this year.
Show up and throw a Senko. That's it, right?
That's all you need to do.
A lot of guys do that.
And that is our show.
Yeah. It's funny, real quick. So, Moo, so I think I had you obviously on day 2 of the tournament. So I didn't know who you were at the time. I got a text after day 1 from my buddy Bill McDermott, and he said, "Dude, you got Moo by for a co-anchor," and I was like, "So what's that mean?" And then he sent me over your stats at the time. So I kind of positioned my day a little bit different to be fishing with you as a boater.
Yeah.
As a boater, once we get our co-angler in the boat, you can more or less see the skill level, whether you look it up on the internet or actually fish with them and see what they can do. As a boater, we have to kind of position, protect, all that good stuff when it comes down to it. Some of you guys, I'm telling you, some of you guys are ready to be in the front of the boat straight up. That's a pro co in my opinion. You guys are ready. There's just so much of that out there nowadays. You guys are hammers, man.
Well, I heard that similar scenario from Travis Manson when I was talking to him, and he said when we draw certain co-anglers, we fish differently in the front, and it can throw us off. Or I would rather just kind of if you're feeling like that, I like to talk with the guy at the beginning of the day and get a feel for what he feels like his chances are for the day, and with me back there, I don't like to influence the boater's day. So I like to kind of react to what the boater is doing. So maybe I should be more upfront and ask, "Hey, look, how do you feel with me back here?"
That's a great point that you just brought up, and my mic's not on.
You're good.
Is it on, Pete?
You're good. I can hear you, Rich. So it must be on. Well, it is a great point. I'll talk while Rich is getting his stuff
Pete's
together.
talking now.
Sean, I remember being at times getting so frustrated with cows that were catching them, and it would spin me out and at times. But I quickly learned that, man, you got to use every piece of information as a tool to help you solve the puzzle.
For sure.
And if you're able to figure out a way to catch them better than me or a different way, I need to use that as information, and not as a combat or, let myself get spun out. So it's part, and I always remind myself that, and there's, you're in your tournament, I'm in my tournament, we're not competing with each other. So I need to use that information to help me. And not only that day, but the next day, to help me dial into my area. Because most of the time, guys, when I show up to a fishing spot, man, I don't know anything. I might have had 1 or 2 bites there. I'm not dialed yet. I've got an area that I'm investigating in. Just like at practice, man, I need a competent angler to help me quickly dial in. But no, I think that's an important part from being a boater is to recognize that, never let that get you spun out. Always use it as a key detail to help you solve the puzzle. Riz, are you hot? Are you ready to ask your question? Or is he back off mic?
He says no.
No,
he's working out some technical difficulties.
Okay, Rich, when you get them worked out, you let me know, because I want to get over to our Bass U subscribers, and I want to let them ask you guys a few questions for sure. But how about you guys? Like this is interesting, Greg, because you said, you got paired up with Moo, and you were like, okay, well, I've got to think about how I'm going to fish. What about you guys? Do you guys have different strategies based on your draw on how you're going to fish today?
Not really. I just want to get out on the water and see if we're fishing shallow, deep, and what techniques I'm going to have to use to catch, even keepers first, as a co-angler. I'm always focusing on not the big fish. I'm focusing on catching keeper size limits. And If that happens to be a bigger fish, great. But I definitely don't want to impose on the front of the boat. But at the same time, I want to see what he's missing and capitalize on the ones that he does miss. So.
How about you, Sean? Have you seen some guys? Oh man, I know I'm going to be fishing on the bank, or I know I'm going to have to fish a certain way. Do you have to prepare for certain draws?
You get that in your head sometimes, but again, it is a long day, and you don't always fish the same thing all day. And sometimes, I remember I had at the All-American 2 years ago across Lake. I had a really good first day. And then I got paired with Jamie Rampy, I believe, who's an not older, but he doesn't fish FLW Tour anymore, but he did. And I thought, oh, this is great. I'm gonna be around fish. And I knew he was fishing docks, and I caught fish off of docks the day before. I was content with that. And within 10 minutes, I knew my day was going to be long. He fished so fast, and he fished poppers and everything, top water and swim bait, swim jigs, and the speed at which he moved, I could maybe get a flip, and then my line would be out the back, and I could not adapt all day. I even tried throwing a popper like he did, and just whatever I did, I couldn't adapt. And I kind of pride myself on being able to adapt. That's what a co-angler should be able to do. But there are cases where you can't, and that was one of them.
Yeah,
well, I have many situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's frustrating.
Like you said, you know it within the first 10 minutes that you know how your day's gonna go, and
mm-hmm.
at certain times you just don't have choice, and you're there as a co-angler, and from there I look at it as learning experience. Why is this guy moving so fast to cover so much water? And if he's not catching them, he's just trying to figure out where the fish is. So
oh well, that was the frustrating part. He was catching them.
Oh really? Okay, that makes it even tougher.
Oh yeah.
So at that point, you gotta punt, right? You gotta kick back and say, "Look, I've got to." You know, the cool part is you are in the co-angler division, and it's not going to take 20 pounds all the time
right.
to win. So sometimes you just got to scramble and get something in the boat.
Yep. No, one bite can go a long way, and that comes into the mental thing. You just have to put it behind you. Just focus on getting that first bite or that next bite. And like you said, Pete, you got to punt. I'd bring up one other quick story. It was at a regional on Kerr Lake. And I made the day 3 cut, and I'm fishing with, I think it's David Wright, maybe, who's a really good stick down there. Mm-hmm. And he was fishing isolated rock piles with crankbait. And 3/4 of the way through the day, I had no fish. And I was looking at what he was doing, and I could tell his line was lighter than mine, and I had like 15-pound mono. I hate crankbaits. I just wasn't rigged for it. But I kind of asked him, I said, what kind of weight you use on it? What's your line? He said, 8 and 10. I said, how the hell with this? I stripped the line off the bait caster. I took my 8-pound off of my drop shot rod, reeled it up, and then I started fishing crankbaits with that. I did get one fish, but it was like shot at the moon. I have nothing to lose. He's catching fish. Yeah. I'm not. What do I have to do? And sometimes that's what you have to do.
Well, it's good.
That was a great adjustment, man. Yeah. I mean, to stop and re-spool in the middle of the tournament and actually, you put something in the boat. Mm-hmm. That's what co-angling's all about. I want to shoot this over to Riz, and I know his mic's hot now, and I want to get some questions in from our Bass U subscribers.
Yes, Pete, we have a lot of great questions from our subscribers, and the first one is going to be Little Buck 3. Little Buck 3 wants to know, what are the first 3 changes you make as a co-angler when your boater is catching fish and you are not?
First thing I do is, if he has 5 fish, I say, you mind if you give me one? Whatever you're throwing, just let me have one.
Don't be shy. Don't sit there.
Don't be shy.
Yeah,
exactly. And most of the boaters I say 99% of the time, boater will say, "I have extra here," and literally hand me whatever they're catching it on. So, never had that kind of issue where a boater said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't let you use my bait or whatever." I mean, even like I've got paired up with Dion Hibden, and first 5 casts he catches 5 fish, and literally hands me his rod and says, "Your turn, move, catch 5." So I had some great draws where boaters would, loan me anything that they have. So
That's because he drinks all that tin cup whiskey. I heard I heard that about Dion and Guido when he was with us. Those were two of the most accommodating pros ever in the co-angling world. They really did something special as pros.
yes, super nice. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better draw. I mean, I didn't do good, but at the same time, I had one of the best fishing days of my life because it was so memorable of how generous he was and how much fun it was just hanging out with him. It was just like going out for a day of fishing. And, I wasn't even in the tournament the way I was thinking at that time. So
that's incredible. Great Dion Hibden story. Great to see Dion back. He's going to be back out on tour. It looks like this year. But I even lost. It was such a good story. I lost track of the question. Riz, let's send it over to Sean.
Right?
Oh,
It was the first 3 adjustments. If your boater is catching fish and you are not.
I don't know about 3. I start asking questions, and I'm not as upfront as Moo. I don't think I've ever asked for a bait, but boaters kind of get the feeling. If you're getting frustrated back there, and if you have a good rapport, if he really feels like he wants to help you out, which I feel like 90% of the boaters I've had really want to help you out. And if you start asking questions, then maybe you can make some adjustments, like I said, with the line diameter. Maybe it's a color thing. Maybe it's a weight thing. On Champlain last year, I was watching my boater catch fish on a drop shot when he would throw it out, and he was getting bit, and I wasn't. And I was noticing he was getting bit on the fall, so I asked him, what weight are you throwing? I think he was throwing a 1/4 ounce, and I was throwing a 3/8. So I lightened up, and they wanted it to that slow fall. They didn't want it to rock it down. And you just have to ask questions. If you're as upfront as Moo, sure, ask for the baits, but I haven't done that yet.
Well, that's a little exaggeration for asking bait. But first 3 things I normally do is I change up colors on my bait to see if it's the color, change up, like you said, change up weight to see if it's the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Those few things you can kind of get an idea on why you're not getting the bites. Other than that, I mean, the last resort is asking the pro to see what they're throwing in.
For me, the last resort is if you have that bait in the boat, and I'm just gonna have to throw exactly what he's throwing, or maybe he'll give me one. That's like the last resort. I always feel I have confidence baits. I always feel like I can pull something out that's maybe slightly different, or I've gotten bitten on the past. But yeah, number 3 is definitely throw exactly what you're throwing.
So Sean, I got a follow up to that question.
Sure.
Part 2. The names of 3 boaters that didn't want you to do good, and go.
Didn't want me to do well.
Yes, first and last name.
Riz, Brian the Carpenter.
Yeah, right.
Put me on the spot there.
I was kidding.
No, I mean I can tell you some.
This is live.
Yeah. You don't have to air it out, but I know that there's guys, and I talked to them and traveled with them, and they get really spun out, and they actually have reputations from the coast. They all know who they are, and they're like, oh man, I hope I don't draw out with that guy because he's going to put me on the bank and not give me a shot at anything. Mm-hmm. And that's paranoid pro anglers, I think, and it's unfortunate, but certain they're part of the sport. That's part of the game, and as co-anglers, you guys got to figure a way to work around that stuff.
Yeah,
right, exactly. And you got to be versatile and just stick with what you know and what got you in the game. So whatever the pro that you get paired up with, you just have to say they're doing their own thing, and you just have to do your own thing. So,
well, to Moo's point, if Sean or Moo, you guys catch, I think my rule is 2, I start paying attention. 3, I'm asking for the bait.
All right.
That's the way it goes for me. So I don't mind that it comes back the other way. And Rich, I'm going to send it back to you for another Bass U subscriber question.
Yep, Pete. Grattan Fishing wants to know, did you guys start fishing tournaments as co-anglers in the BFLs, or did you start in more club level tournaments before you decided to jump right in?
That's a great question, Moo. Where did you start?
I started off as in a small club. It was called Deep Run Bass Club, and my friend's dad got us, my buddy and I, into a club where I think I was like 12 or 13, and my first tournament I ended up coming in 3rd place, and I was like, I was going crazy. I was like, this is what I want to do. But I was never able to afford a boat or go out on a boat. So my buddy and I, we used to go around all the lakes and ponds with a raft and literally fish off a raft and catch fish. So that's how I grew up fishing.
Started out at the club level. Sean, did you start out there? Did you jump right
club
in?
level. Started in Tri-State Bass Assassins and moved on to Top Rod. I kind of followed wherever my buddy Mike Centaur went. We fished the Tri-State and Top Rod. You could do a lot of buddy stuff. So Tri-State was more buddy oriented. Top Rod was more individual, where you got drawn. So I guess my first boater / co-angler was with Top Rod, and from there, 2014 was my first Bassmaster Open. I wanted to travel with Mike, and I knew Greg was fishing them, so I fished 2 events there, and I kind of got the bug there. So 15, then I started doing the BFLs.
Right. Well, it's I think it's an important step for anybody that fishes. Some people never want to be in the front of the boat. They never want to do that, and they love the co-angling side of things. But if your intention is to get on the boater side, man, it is so priceless to take a year or a couple years and spend it as a co-angler, I think.
I agree.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Moo's had success on the front of the boat too. He fished the All-American.
I know. His skills transitioned right over.
That's luck.
And then we're going to see him in the front of the boat more as we get through, as we move on. But one of the things I want to ask you, we had some interesting stuff like JK, Justin Kimmel, program manager over here at Bass U. He had a couple sneaky little tricks that were neat. For instance, when he was drop shotting in deeper water, he went to a heavier weight than the pro was using so that he could get his bait down first, get him down to the fish first. And it's a sneaky little trick that he has used from time to time when he could make them bite it that way. Let me send this over to you, Moo. Do you have any like blow your hair back kind of sneaky little tricks that
yeah, I did. Before this live imaging where you can see forward, where the pros only have to see the bottom straight down to the boat.
Mm-hmm.
I recall doing this to Edward Nevers. I mean, I felt bad, but I was catching fish and he wasn't. And he would come to he was just basically tracking down one fish and dropping down on him. So I would put my rod right next to the boat, and as soon as he turned his trolling motor around, I would drop it before he did. And then, that was a little trick, but now you can't even do that. Does the 360 imaging and.
Yeah, I've adapted that too, Moo. I've definitely, a lot of guys will turn off the console graph if you're fishing deep water, and it really helps when it's on because you can see a fish and drop to it. But so many times I'll with my ears, if I'm not paying attention, I hear him reel up real quick. I know he sees a fish, so I'll get ready and I'll look. And if he drops on a fish, of course I'm going to drop because we're moving. And by the time his bait gets down to it, the back of the boat might be right over the fish. So I've sniped many fish from guys when I know that they're onto something, they see a fish, and I do that same trick, Pete. Like I have a pocket full of a couple different size weights, and if I need to drop quick, I'll put on a half or a 5/8 ounce weight and just let it drop really fast so it gets down to the fish before his bait does.
Wow.
You guys are sneaky.
Some of those, shouldn't have said some of these things, I'm sure.
Oh, that's pretty cool, and that's when you're fishing offshore, that's certainly a deal. But what I guess the other, you talked a little bit about it. Moo. You go to your confidence baits, when you're not fishing on the sonar. Do you have like a top? Do you have like a top one or two baits that have won, or techniques that have won all the money for you, or do you even think like that?
It would have to be 3 because Senko is probably one of the most important baits as a co-angler.
You write that down, BTC?
I actually just shot myself in the head.
The second will have to be a drop shot. Rich knows I caught like 2 back to back on a drop shot where I had a small window chance on the BFL, and then the last one has to be shaky head. Without the shaky head, I don't think I would have won this Chesapeake tournament without a shaky head. Because I actually picked up the shaky head and cast it inside the grass. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I did it, but I threw it and I ended up catching a fish off of it.
Talk too loud.
So.
You're getting into one of GDP's top 3, That's cool. That's good stuff. So we got a drop shot, shaky head, and of course a Senko. What about you, Sean? What are your top 3?
I've got to go with various drop shots, whether it's open hook for smallmouth or Texas rig, because you can throw that around grass or flip it around docks and brush. But still, one of my favorites is still going to be just a Texas rig finesse worm with a little bullet weight, and just needle it through the grass. It's very, very subtle, and it can drop into the holes, and it's a really good grass bait. Various whatever it is, Zoom finesse worm or Riot robo worm, Riot synth robo worm. They all kind of do what you want.
You're talking spinning rod or bait caster, Sean?
I throw that on a spinning rod. I mean, I'll throw as number 3. I hate to throw the Senko, but it's definitely, if I'm really in a bind, I'll throw it, and that's probably number 3. Whether it's wacky rig or I'll throw that on a Texas rig on a bait caster a lot too.
Well, the Senko, you can cast it anywhere.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be sneaky a little bit, you just zip that thing underneath a dock.
Sure.
With a small window.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, that is a good. I have to get better at. One of the things I have to learn better is skipping. And I don't on a bait caster. I don't know if that's a boat position thing. It's hard if from the back to skip if your right arm's right by the front of the boat. But that Moo might be better at that technique than
let's
me.
be honest. Whoever is really that happy when they catch one on the sink. It's like
it's the right size, man.
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm throwing.
No, I hear you, but it's just a little different. I'm with you, Sean. I read
I'll do it if I have to.
I'll read you.
Pete was probably punching a Senko the other day.
Keep hating on it, guys. Bring some more. Turn more people off to the greatest technique that has ever been invented in the sport of bass.
That's right.
That's ever seen fishing back 20 years.
Yep. Well, let me send it over to you, Rich, for one more question, and then I want to get into the Bass U battle. I don't know if you guys were prepared for this, but we have a Bass U co-angler battle that is going to go down between Sean and Moo, and we're going to ask you a couple questions, scenarios, and you guys are going to give us the co-angler answer, and then we're going to judge who's right and who's wrong. But I want to give one more question to our subscribers while these guys get nervous about the battle that we're about to go into. Chris, what do we got? What do we got in the queue?
Great. Jay Hen wants to know from both you guys, what are the top questions that you ask your boater the night before a tournament?
Man, great question.
How's it going,
How do you
John?
prepare?
I always ask, are we fishing shallow or deep? You know, that gives me an idea on what I need to rig up and how to set my rods up. So,
how about you, Sean?
I don't really get too specific because I don't want to make the guy think I'm just gonna be asking questions all day and doing that. But I like to know, depth. Are we fishing hard cover? Are we fishing grass? Are we fishing offshore? Are we fishing brown fish, green fish, a little bit of both? Just to give me an idea so I can kind of pare down my tackle, because I have a tendency to pack heavy, and if I can reduce that a little bit, that does help.
Are guys, do they hold back information from you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Sometimes.
But they want you to pack light.
Well, some of the guys will probably even ghost you. Won't even call you back. Ever had that happen?
No.
No.
I drew
surprising.
Derek Remitz on Champlain.
Yeah.
And
I was there for that one.
Okay, and I had and I asked him, I said, well, we stay in north or we run into Thai? That's an easy question to ask, right? And he's like, I don't even know yet. And he was being truthful.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If he's being
practice.
Truthful, right?
Oh, he didn't know till we went through, and he's like, left.
Yeah,
So.
that's funny. I got to be honest. There's been times when I've been nervous about it. Like guys will really get up in your grill and want colors and sizes and patterns,
Right.
and I'm like, man, I don't even know you, and
Black,
I'm
5-inch.
a little. I don't know who you're going to talk to, who you're rooming with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people you're going to share this information with that I'm giving you right now. So I kind of measure out a little bit of what we're doing sometimes, depending on who it is and stuff. But I always try to be truthful and honest, except for when, like you, they try to pare it down and like on Champlain, and I always feel bad because I'm fishing for largemouth and smallmouth every day, so I can't help you pare down. Like I've got 30 rods rigged, and I don't know which ones I'm going to throw.
Yeah.
But I remember famously Denny Brower, had a co-angler, and the guy came in with, showed up at the dock with a suitcase, and he sent him back. He said, "You're not getting in my boat with that."
I had one guy in a Bass Nation tournament. I showed up with my normal stuff. I've never been told I bring too much stuff, but he's from Germany, and he takes one look at me with my stuff. He says, "Jesus Christ, I take less shit when I go to Germany." And I knew, all right, this day is going to go one way or the other. And he was hilarious. It was the funniest day I've ever had. But it was just funny. That's his attitude.
Jersey Bass Nation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
Who is it?
I got it written down here. Was it Chris Weber?
Yeah, Weber.
Yeah, okay. So one more quick story about Chris. We get to our first spot, and I knew where we were. We were around Wolf Island. It was on the St. Lawrence, and I just kind of asked him. I said, "Oh, so we're on the is this Wolf Island here?" He just looks at me. He's like, "I'm not telling you shit, just fish." I said, "All right, Chris."
That's awesome.
It was.
I like him.
Guys
I've never
guys
met
are
him, but I like him.
pirating waypoints these days. They're out with the Navionics app, and they're just punching waypoints all over wherever you take them.
Do you have co's do that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You're not supposed to.
Since the rules have come out, I can't say that.
Yeah.
In recent times, but there didn't used to be a rule for it.
Right. Right.
I would see guys sneaking it all the time.
Okay. I have my Navionics on the phone, and I like to know generally where I am. Number one, it's a safety thing. If something happens, I want to know where the heck I'm gonna go. But also, I'll go back later after the tournament and take notes. And I want to know, like, I'll look at look at the landmarks where I am. If I have a buoy, that's red buoy number 10. Okay, and then I'll go back on my navionics later and look. Okay, we were like 40 yards off of red buoy number 10, and then I'll waypoint it after the fact. But I haven't actually waypointed during a tournament.
Yeah. Well, it's good that they have those rules now. And I know I'm looking at the time. It says 8 o'clock. Moo, I knew we were going to let you out of here at 8 o'clock. And after I teased the Bash U battle, can you hang in there with us for a minute?
Yeah, they haven't come, so I'm good right now.
Okay. I'm BTC. I'm going to go ahead with my first battle question, if that's all right with you.
Yes.
First question. Now, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to ask you to put a set of conditions down, and we're going to pick, or I guess Moo, I'm going to have you go first on this one, and give me your answer, and then we're going to judge your answer and see who's going to win the tournament. You've got a bad partner draw. He had a terrible practice. It's a tough fall fishing deal on a reservoir, no grass around. Your partner has no idea where to go or what to do. He asks for help from you, but you don't know this body of water. How are you going to be successful and win this tournament, Moo?
I tell him, depending on what season, I say, let's hit all the points. Just run and hit all the points. That's what I tell my boater.
Not a bad strategy. Points, fish are always on the points, so you're going to jump in. You're going to give them some assistance and try to help them and give them a simple strategy for success. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Sean?
I like that answer. That was like my second plan, but my first plan, I'm more of a reactive fisherman. I'm going to say, go wherever you got. If you didn't catch a fish, but you got bit or you saw bait, wherever you saw the best life, just go there and we'll pick it apart.
Wow. All right, guys, I'm going to weigh in. I'm going to go first. Those are some quick answers, man. You guys were all over a tough scenario. But we got Sean going to where at practice you saw your best life. And one of my rules is if it didn't happen for me there at practice, I ain't going back there in the tournament. And it's the hardest thing in the world to do. I love this going to points, just saying, you know what you did work, what you did at practice didn't work. Let's do something else. I'm going with Moo winning that battle on points. What do you say, GDP?
Sean, I love you, but I'm going to go with Moo also because Moo said one key thing. What's the seasonal pattern right now? And that's, a really good way. That's how I always start all my practices.
Look what I wrote down, though. Main Lake points near Creek Channel swings. That was my first.
Yeah, I'm not picking Moo's actual where he's actually on the points. I'm picking, he said, seasonal pattern. What should they be doing? We got another practice day, even though it's tournament day. That's why I'm picking Moo.
Right.
All right. 2 for Moo. How about what do you say, BTC?
I'm going with Sean. That's what I would have done. It's probably why I zeroed both Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. But I would tend to go wherever I felt there was life and zero. So.
She's honest.
Riz, close us out. Is this going to be a tie, or are we going to have a winner in this round?
Pete, I actually got to go with Moo on this one for a little bit different role. It's the same reason, but I picked up on something that he said in there, that he's going to run as many points as possible. Generally, that's what I do when I'm scrambling. I just start running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And if I figure something out, I do. If I don't, I don't. But, yeah, I mean, I like the idea of covering water, seeing as much as you can. And, hopefully one of those stops you make, you'll get the clue that you need and, get on some fish. So I got to go with Moo on that one.
All right. Sean,
no problem.
That's definitely your style, Riz, running around. I like it. GDP, did you prepare any battles?
I did not. Not anything that's even close to what you guys have on here.
Run with it, Pete.
All right, I'm going to go. I love Greg's questions, but I got another one lined up here. They were going the opposite, man. Your angler is on the mother load. He's fishing a fall topwater pattern. Bites can come from anywhere around the boat on an open grass flat. Everybody's catching them. How are you going to set yourself apart? Moo, you went first last time. Sean, you get the honor.
if they're throwing top water, I'm just going to go against BTC. I'm just going to throw a wacky Senko. Open hook, wacky Senko. Just fan cast around.
Nice. Open hook, wacky Senko. How about you, Moo?
I'm throwing moving bait. If they're that active, I want to catch as many and fast as possible by throwing spinner bait, chatter bait, crankbait, whatever that's moving to get some reaction bites.
All right. That's great strategy. Moving baits. They're using top water. You're going to use something a little different than top water, but try to cover water. Fish are aggressive. And that's the wrong answer because everybody knows they're going to eat a Senko. So it goes to Sean for me as the winner. GDP, what do you say?
Well, I can say the answer I was looking for was throw a jig, honestly, just to get them bigger bites. But in my experience, both of the answers will catch you a lot of fish. There's no doubt about it. But for the simple fact that Sean's going to throw something slower that a lot of guys aren't doing, I'm picking Sean on this one.
Going with the Senko. ETC, can I just put you down for Senko?
Yeah, no. And that's my answer.
He's not going to think.
Whoever's not throwing a Senko is who he picks.
That's why I double zeroed over the weekend.
How about you, Riz? I kind of feel like I know which way you're going to go. What way are you going to go?
Well, they're both great answers, Pete, and there's no doubt that the Senko is gonna catch fish. But I'm gonna go with Moo on this one because he's playing the numbers game. He's gonna try and get as many bites as possible in the window of opportunity that there is. And I think the more bites you get, the better chance you have of hooking a big one. So I'm going with moving baits. I'm with Moo on that.
A tie.
Yeah, that's a tie. That's definitely a tie. And I think of course I'm kidding around by picking Sean with the Senko, but there are times when that will absolutely get the biggest fish. But they're honestly, when they're hitting as top water, gosh almighty, it seems like that's the tool, a lot of times, to get the fish, to get them to commit that time of year. But nonetheless, I'm still picking the Senko. Great weapon.
Swim Senko.
All right. We're gonna move on to another question here.
It's a tiebreaker.
Right.
This one is close, near and dear to my heart, and I'm interested to see what you guys are going to do here, because I think both of you guys were here. You fished on the Potomac, right, Sean?
I fished. I caught no fish
Okay.
both days.
Casted.
Well, maybe you figured it out. Your angler is punching. He's punching a hydrilla. His boat is positioned right on the edge of the grass, and he's using 1 ounce weight with a creature bait that matches the crawl. It's a watermelon with red flake. It's a tough bite. What's your strategy to get bit in that situation? Moo, it's your turn to go first.
I'm fishing the grass line. I'm fishing the edge. Either with Senko, weightless, or weighted Senko. I want to catch the ones that are on the edge. As a co-angler, I've been in that situation way too many times where I need to get bites rather than catching a big fish. So more bites I get on the edge is more chance that I'm going to have opportunity to catch my limit.
Fishing the edge. So you're going to fish behind the boat on the edge, I guess, in that situation.
Yes. Fishing, or I will ask the boater if I can cast forward in front of him, because if he's punching, he's leaving me the opportunity to cast right on the edge of the grass line. So
I personally would have no problem with that. If I was punching,
and most boaters do not care because they're not even going for the 12-inch fish on the edge.
Yep.
So
that's two different fish. I would certainly not have a problem with that. Sean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to disagree with that, but yeah, if you're on the edge, especially if you're nosed into the grass and I'm out in the channel or something. But if you're paralleling it, I've caught fish plenty of times just casting out the back with moving baits and working that edge. And I don't know. If you're fishing slow, though, and we're not covering a lot of water, I'm going to slow it down and maybe fish a drop shot and just bum it along the edge there. And that you can't go wrong with the edge.
Edge. Both guys are fishing the edge.
I don't want to. Punching is so specific, and you're probably going to be working that area pretty good, and I might get a bite. If your bite's really slow, I'm going to fish for different fish.
It's interesting because I'm looking for the answer here because I had 2 coes and none of my coes caught a fish, and they both opted to punch like where I was punching or further into the mat, and that was not a successful strategy. That did not result. Neither one of them opted to come out and fish the edge, whether it's behind or in front of the boat. And so I think that was probably the winning combination is fish on the edge. And Moo, you're going to be throwing a Senko. Sean, you're going to be throwing a drop shot.
I like the drop shot.
Yeah, and after I got educated by GDP on how to use a drop shot this past week, I'm going with Sean and the drop shot off the edge. Of course, I think I took Greg's answer.
You already got it.
I mean, I'm going 3 for 3 here. Anybody, the opposite way of the Senko. But yeah, for sure. If you want my vote, don't say Senko. I don't know if anyone caught on to that yet.
What about you, Riz? You got to pick between a drop shot and a Senko. Which one are you picking?
I think in this one I'm going to go with Moo, not specifically because of the Senko, but more because he's going to, if the boater is nosing into the grass, he's going to have the opportunity to fish the edge on both sides, and especially in the scenario that, if he is going to work towards the front of the boat, he's going to ask the boater if that's okay, and if it's a different group of fish and the boater's cool with it, I like Moo's chances to fish both sides of the boat with the Senko that Brian hates, but the fish seem to bite it.
And I agree with Rich. That's a great point. And I got a lot out of Moo's answer, asking the guy if, can I throw up front?
Great.
I would have definitely went with Moo, but Senko.
Yep. So I've had guys ask and not ask. And I think that's awesome that you ask.
Way better.
Moo. Like even when you're dock fishing or fishing blowdowns, whatever it is, like they'll ask if they can throw up and, fish target an area that I'm not targeting. I never have a problem with that.
Can I throw?
Always ask.
Okay.
So basically, the worst thing you can do as a co-angler is throw a Senko over your boater without asking. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, that's for sure. He, even though you're playing around it, he's right. I mean, dude,
it's happened to me, Greg.
And it's happened to all of us. If you just physically ask your boater, you're going to get 1 or 2 answers: yes or no.
Yeah.
Answer done.
Don't let your line touch your boater's neck.
That makes it tough.
I had a story on Champlain where I was fishing these holes in the reeds, and you had to troll motor on high because they were far apart, and every time I'd get my Senko into one of those holes, I'd catch one at every other one, and it takes your partner 2 seconds to figure out that's the deal. And just like you said, Riz, I come up on the next hole because I like pitch and in between, and I put my rod down to grab my Senko rod, and here comes the Senko bombing from the back of the boat and lands right in the hole.
I'm pretty sure we got a tie.
Catches a big fish, but we do. We are currently tied, which is why
we're currently tied. We got to go to extra innings here. Let's hit that.
Yeah. All right.
Moo got the first one. It was a draw on the second question.
Okay. Yeah, it was a draw.
And Sean got the.
It's funny because the question here relates to a lot of what we just talked about. You drawn out with a bank beater in a tournament. He's fishing docks and shoreline cover. Gets the first crack at everything using a jig and a Senko. What's your strategy to catch fish behind him?
I know the answer.
Whose turn is it? Is it Moo? Are we back to you?
It would be Sean's.
Rock, scissors, paper.
Sean?
Okay. Yeah, when this started, I said I'm going to answer drop shot for everything. But if we're fishing docks, like that's kind of what we fish around here. I love a drop shot around docks, and I would just Texas rig a finesse worm drop shot. Maybe switch it up, like Moose said. Sometimes a shaky head, but I'm going to default to the drop shot. I have one other really good bait that I'd like to bring up, and it's I can show you the head. I brought it, but I just started using it. It's a weedless Ned, and it's really good for skipping around docks.
Sure is.
Yep. Yes.
So drop shot and that weedless Ned.
Going all finesse. So you're throwing right at the same targets, but you're going finesse.
Yeah. There's so many pilings, and he's not going to hit everyone. I'm going to watch where he's fishing and maybe hit the ones he's not, but that's what I'm going to do.
All right. Moo, the pressure's on, man. This is it. Winner take all.
I would throw a drop shot, but man, all these years, shaky head has won me more money than a drop shot. So I have to say, shaky head.
Oh man, the shaky head drop shot. That's a tough one. And I'm old school. I was catching them on a shaky head before we knew what a drop shot was, and I'm super comfortable with that shaky head in my hand. And like I was telling you, Greg, when we were out fishing, I still wrestle with line twist, all kinds of problems with the drop shot that prevents me from picking it up. So I love it. I love fishing that shaky head. I think it falls better. I think it triggers strikes differently. I'm going with Moo. Shaky head, baby.
And I can easily say from a lot of experience, and I think it's changed the game a little bit. I'm going with the Ned, man. Seriously, I think that
I
Ned,
kind of cheated though. I said 3
It
baits.
doesn't matter. It matter. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
It just depends on who's first or not. First.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm seriously going to go with it because I think in these last 2 years, I think the Ned rig has really shined in tournament situations and especially tough situations.
Yeah.
Is when it really shines. I think the Ned's out fishing the shaky head. I'm going with Sean on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am as well. I'm throwing a lot more Ned rig these days than a shaky head. So I'm definitely leaning towards that. I've been throwing it a lot. Rich, it's all up to you, kid.
I'm throwing a swim bait.
I'm a frog.
Are you in this BU?
I'm putting a swim bait on 12 to 14 pound test, and I'm flipping that joker at the pilings.
Are you a Kellinger?
You know what I'm saying, Greg?
Oh yeah.
No, you haven't been a co-angler enough. Then.
Yeah, you haven't seen me fish a swim bait. No, I'm gonna go with Sean on this one because the Ned rig over the last couple years, it just seems like it. You know, as a co-angler, it seems so important to get bites, and I mean, a little Ned rig, it's like a French fry. Everything eats a French fry.
I love French fries.
It's yeah. So I'm going with the Ned rig.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can accept any of these votes for Sean because he was talking about a drop shot, like maybe a Ned rig, you know?
Ooh.
And you guys all picked the Ned rig.
Call, Pete.
Moo wins this with shaky head.
Oh man.
It was hometown cooking. You know what I mean? We went for the home guy.
I was just being honest.
Yeah, no, it's same here, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I like to cast a big umbrella there and cast a big net and throw three out there.
You should have said rig on the dock.
It was all fun. I appreciate. They're all great strategies, and you guys have a lot of experience as co's, and I appreciate you sharing that information. Moo, we're going to let you go. I know you got some company coming over. I appreciate you hanging with us a little bit longer. And where's your next tournament? When are we going to see you next? Are you done for the year?
No, I'm headed to Norman to fish the Toyota Series.
Okay.
This year, I just had the opportunity to fish all the co-anglers since my boat. I don't have a boat this year, so FLW had me. I had a credit with FLW, and they said if I don't use it, it's gonna be gone. So I said, sign me up for all the co-anglers. So be down in Norman next week.
Okay. Is there any budget left over after Norman? I could use some entry fee money.
Yeah, I think I still have like $300 left, and they said there's no more tournaments after this.
That's all. Well, we're going to be watching. We'll be pulling for you down at Lake Norman, and it's got a lot of fish in it, so I think it'll be a great co-angler lake. And,
yeah, it is. It has lots of spots. It's going to be a good tournament. So hopefully.
Okay. Well, thanks again. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to watch some a commercial from Sea Clear Power, one of the new Bass University sponsors. It's a harness that's designed exclusively for your sonar to give you steady, clean output with no voltage drop. And I want you guys to check out that commercial and check out Sea Clear Power.
Yes.
And Moo, we're gonna catch up with you real soon. I hope. Wish you the best of luck. And guys, hang in there. We'll be right back. BTC. Is there anything I'm missing?
No,
2 minutes.
That's it, man. We're coming back in 2 minutes with a Bass University subscriber. So Rich ran a little deal today. Go ahead.
Yeah, so today we ran our first edition of a new thing we're going to be doing on Bass University Live, where we're actually bringing subscribers onto the podcast for a short segment where they get their questions answered. Today we ran a Facebook like and share and an Instagram tag to friends, and we selected a winner. We're going to bring them on after this segment. I think a lot of people might already know them, so we're excited to have them on. You'll see coming very soon.
We'll be right back with more Bass University Live.
Hey guys, Nathan Martin here with Sea Clear Power. The two biggest problems I see that people make when they're installing their marine electronics is their transducer placement and the way that they power their units up. At Sea Clear Power, we have designed and patented the first marine draft wiring harness to run 2 designated lines to your unit. We make sure that your units are getting no voltage drops, no electrical interference, and that's going to do a couple things. It's going to make your unit faster, it's going to make your structure scan pick up faster when you come off pad, and it's going to clear your image up on your units. These are really easy to install. All you have to do is fish a fish tape through your boat, tape it to the long end, the 26-foot run, and pull it all the way to the front of the boat. You'll have another 13-foot run that'll come off at the dash. Once you've pulled your 2 tags out at the front and at the dash, you take your power wire from your units and you simply unscrew the connector, put your ground into the ground side, and put your hot with your fuse into the hot side. At the back, you connect the ground to the ground terminal on the battery and the hot to the on-off switch at the back. And you always want to run it to an on-off switch, and this is why. These units, every brand, they pull a little bit of power even when they're not turned on. So you do not want to be pulling your battery power down while you're trying to charge them up. This Sea Clear Power wiring harness will work on all 4 brands, Lowrance, Humminbird, Garmin, Raymarine. It has 2 20-amp fuses, so you can put up to 4 units on each line as long as you don't have something else that's pulling some amps. If you do, you just change the fuse at the back from a 20 to a 30, and you can put more on each line. You can find us at seaclearpower.com or ask about us at your local marine dealership. We want to help you find more fish and catch more fish, and we look forward to seeing you on the water.
Talk to me about it. I'm like, dude, it happens, man. We've all been there. You know?
Yep.
It was a grinder of a derby. Holy moly.
We are back, we're waiting in the wings, but we're back live, Bass University Live, the co-angler edition. And man, we're having fun. We're learning a lot. We're learning how these guys are doing it from the back of the boat, and bring your questions. And we've got, some of you, I know you know who he is, but he's one of our longtime Bass University TV subscribers, and we're glad to have him on to talk co-angling with us. Our buddy Eric, otherwise known, AKA Epic Eric. Good to have you with us tonight, buddy.
What's up, everybody, man? Great to be here, man. What a great show. I took notes, man. I've got my little yellow sticky pad. I got notes. I got questions. I fished with Greg. I fished with you, the Dean. Are you kidding me? This is awesome. I can't wait to get started.
I like the sneakiness of these guys looking at their sonar units and dropping before they're pros.
Right.
You know, Sean having a pocket full of different size weights. That's good stuff.
And using his ears to hear when the guy's reeling up fast. That is like really paying attention. That's what I'm talking about, man. I've got a few tricks now extra up my sleeve. So let's roll. But actually, I'm fishing team tournaments. I'm not doing the tournament scene anymore. So, but team tournaments. So I am the in a way in the back. So, you know, my job is to catch fish behind my boater, right? Because I got to add to the team.
No doubt. It's very similar concept. You know,
100%.
You got to capitalize on opportunities that the other guy is missing or doesn't have time for.
That's right.
And playing cleanup. But
so
we're going to be.
Pete, we actually have a great question that's related to that. And since we just got Eric on, I want to throw it out because I think he can speak to this really well. So on the message board, Riz's next boat problem wants to know. I think I know who this might be, but Riz's next boat problem wants to know, how do you change your mindset when fishing in a team tournament rather than as a co-angler? How does your mindset change?
Man, you've got to really be unselfish in the back of the boat, right? Because if the boater has a groove going, right, you don't want to get in his way. You don't want to interrupt the flow. If he starts catching him on a DT6, your instinct is tie on a DT6, cast straight on that line. He might be lining up for a very small piece of cover that he knows about. You got to stay out of the way, and you got to be additive, not subtractive, because they're trying to concentrate, right? They may have something marked. Again, they've got, boat position is super critical for a boater, right? And if you're casting in front of them, that can throw off their flow right out of the gate. So I think you've got to be unselfish, and you've got to think about what is a complementary bait to what we're doing. If it's a power technique, and they're moving the boat fast, I've really picked up power shotting lately, and it's been a great technique for me. I'm talking about with 15 to 17 pound line, heavyweight to get to the bait to the bottom quickly, and moving fast and really shortening up my leader, like a 4-inch leader, and flipping that. So it's showing I'm doing power finesse, if you will, while they're power fishing. And it's been a great combo for me all year. It's put a lot of fish in the boat. In fact, this weekend it put fish in the boat. It put a lot of numbers in the boat and a couple key bites.
And you just won the Bojangles championship tournament.
We did. It was we won the Bojangles 2-day classic. Man, thank you very much, man. I got an incredible boater down on Gaston. We won there about 4 weeks ago in a Collins tournament with no practice, just fishing some history. We dirt dobbed all day. He's throwing his power technique, and I'm throwing a bass alarm buzz bait, and I must have cast that thing 1,500 times. I mean, it was just, you've got to pay attention. We also won the points championship for Bojangles, so it was a clean sweep. But the 2-day classic was really interesting. So, we start out on schooling spots, and he's throwing a much bigger walking bait. I opted for the Super Spook Junior, and they were knocking his bait clear out of the water. 4 bites missed right out of the gate. These are magnum spots, and they ate the Super Spook Junior. So we're working as a team. He doesn't mind if he misses a bite for me to cast behind it. He's fired it up, right, because it doesn't matter. So I catch that first 3.5, and then he downsizes to a Super Spook Junior style bait, a smaller Sammy, and he gets a mag spot just the same size. Meanwhile, the fish have gone down. I'm throwing a jerk bait to try to reignite him. No bites, but I drop, and I catch nothing that's going to help us, but I put a couple fish in the boat. We get our limit very quickly. He catches a few more on top on our next schooling spot. So we've got a limit, at like 8:30, and then we're calling all day. And that was 16:03 for the day. Day 2, we're boat 84. We're last in the pack. We went out boat 1 because we won the points championship. Day 2, we're boat 80 something, 84, call it. And all the schooling spots were mopped up, dude. We're struggling. We're getting B-roll stuff at this point. 9 o'clock, 9:30, 1 small fish. So we kind of roll back, and in deference to Moo Man, the shaky head pulled out our limit. Then we started moving back to some pinch points and creeks, because that's where the fish were moving, the large heads, and found some fish grouped up, fired them up. We're both throwing crankbaits in that 10 to 12 foot range, and ignited the school. And so that's a moment where we're both fishing the same bait. different color because the school is on it. After that school stopped biting that crankbait we were throwing, that deeper diver, I threw a Magnum trickworm out and reignited the school. I think I caught 5 in a row. And so, he doesn't care if I catch the fish, and I don't care if he catches the fish. Key to the moment, BTC, sorry to say, and Pete, in deference to the dean, the Senko caught the winning fish. Scooter slid it under a dock. I had the nail weight in my pocket.
Yeah.
Rolled it. He likes to fish fast, man. Sunk down. A 5.5 came in the boat. We won the 2-day total by 2 pounds. So it's just that combination. Close. Yeah, it's very close. It was anybody's ball game. I think there were, after day one, there were like 8 bags in that 15-pound range. We were about 2 pounds or a pound out of the lead and change, sitting in third. So it was anybody's ball game in that top 10. Cloud cover helped us. The dock fishermen didn't have their day per se because the fish were roaming. So we some top water bites, he'll be throwing a big plopper. I'll be throwing a smaller walk-in bait behind him or a popper. I try to throw in some of my JDM craziness to see if I can ignite some fish. And occasionally I'll come up with some unique lures out of Japan that actually work. There you go, man.
It was a great win. Congratulations. And
thank you.
And I love the enthusiasm. Well, you always bring enthusiasm, but the enthusiasm that you have is in a team tournament can sometimes get lost in the boater co-angler relationship because sometimes it can be adversarial,
I agree.
I think one of the best things you could do as a co and a boater is, and I love how Moo and Sean both handle this situation, is try to create that atmosphere, that connection, because when you can do that, like when I'm not upset about like Sean catching fish and I'm using his information as a tool to help me catch fish and vice versa, it's a great scenario. But boy, you can let yourself get spun out when the boater is catching them and you're not, or vice versa.
100%, man. I took a lot of notes. I mean, the courtesy that Moo and both Sean afforded their pros and their tournaments and their wins was just spectacular. Hey, Sean, I got a question for you, man. You said you were going to bring out that weedless Ned rig head. Yeah. Let's see it, dude. I want to see it.
Where can we show this? It's made by Brian's Custom Tackle.
Okay.
I learned about it from a friend of mine who actually his co-angler caught some fish on it pretty well, and I said I've been looking for a weedless Ned head, a good one, for a while, and my buddy Mike Centaur said look into this one. And
so it's an EWG hook, right? Is it a Mustad or Gamakatsu? Because I'm pretty finicky about.
Yeah, he does. I'm not as finicky, but on the website he does describe what he uses, so I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Cool. Now, are you using Z-Man plastics? Are you wedded to the high float plastic for your Ned?
No, that right there is like a thin profile, like a 3-inch mini Senko Yamamoto, or that might even be a Sticko Bass Pro.
Oh man, can you beat the Sticko? Yeah. I know some guys will pour the Senkos with no salt, and you get the same float out of it. So,
got me.
It's a beautiful tool to be able to go weedless because it puts you in situations where you can get into brush piles and blow down trees and grass and so many different scenarios that exposed hook just destroys you.
It does. No question about it. And I've seen the effectiveness of the Ned as well. I had a chance to fish a couple of years back with the General, Larry Nixon, and we fished Bull Shoals. And lo and behold, he's got 3 rods on the deck. I had 5 that I brought trying to pack light, and one of them was a Ned. And we had the same hook, open style, weedless with a triple guard. It was actually two on each side out of Japan. And man, super effective on spots and largemouth and smallies there. We did the triple crown that day. We caught them all.
That's really cool. It must have been pretty cool fishing with Larry Nixon. He's one of my personal heroes in the sport.
Mine too. I bid on eBay, and it was for the Future of Fishing Foundation. The money that I spent went to help kids, find a path to fishing. So, but spending a day with him on Bull Shoals was extraordinary. Hearing the tournament stories and how he got his nickname, and the effectiveness of the Ned. And that shouldn't be lost on any co-angler listening to this.
So
you know. Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
I mean,
no, he shouldn't have. He
I'm
one
not-
with a shaky head and a Senko down there at Lake Gaston.
I want
That's
to
the
add
winner.
something real quick here. A couple things. Number one, I fished with Eric before, and I had no idea what to expect because I just knew Eric through social media. Number one, you guys are lucky because when it comes to, basically attention to detail, I don't know anybody better than Eric.
Oh, yeah.
Number one.
Oh,
Number
thank
two, when I fished with him, I got to see it firsthand, not just through social media. So I think this is a really treat to have Eric on here, first off.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Greg.
And besides that,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, and no problem. I mean, you put it in work. Besides that, were you on Gaston? Is that where you were?
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite lakes.
I love that place, man. I love Gaston. I fished it back in the 80s in a bass tracker. My second boat. And man, it was an odyssey to me. I had zero concept of what I was doing. So, mostly target fishing. But, since I've been fishing down in Region 7, not with Scooter, but with Brian Briesmeister, we won Anglers of the Year last year in Region 7. And I took big swim baits down there pre-practice in a pre-spawn tournament. And I'm talking the Gancraft, Magnum Claw, Jointed Claw 230. And to see the number of fish follow that bait, and it was a rainbow trout color.
Wow.
There are some giants in that lake if you hit it at the right time, but it can also be a summer grinder kind of place. So lots going on. You got the upper end of the river, you got the dam down deep, clear water. You can skip docks all day long, which I hate, but necessary. A lot of shore grass. There's so many things you can do there, and the water level stays constant.
Is there still hydrilla in the lake, or did they eradicate that?
Very little. We found some. But if they find it, they'll kill it. So that's really changed the dynamic of the fishery, right? Sure. When it had hydrilla, I mean, you knew where to go. Grass heads like me, you, and everybody on this podcast knows what to do. But they've killed it all, except for some places. There's very limited. It's super limited.
It's a classic lake that's been on the tournament trail forever. 100 years ago, I drew out with Charlie Campbell.
My gosh!
I don't think you guys even know who that is.
Never heard his name.
I do.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I do.
That's great that you do, but he's the original topwater master.
Wow.
Back in the day, won out on Table Rock on a topwater in a Bassmasters tournament, probably in the 60s or the 70s, or I think he's won a few. But anyway, we used to draw out boater on boater versus how it's co-angler and boater now, and Charlie Campbell was the greatest draw ever, like a gentleman's gentleman. And I never saw this before. Like, we would pull up on a blow down tree, and he would say, "Okay, I'll throw to the left, you throw to the right."
Wow.
And we were competing against each other, and he would give that kind of courtesy and expect that kind of courtesy in return.
Yeah. How long ago did his career end?
A long time. I think he recently passed away, but
he did. He did. Hey.
I just want to give a shout out to one of the characters of the sport, one of the greatest.
Right. Hey, was he throwing a spook with you?
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did. We were catching him on spinner baits, but he definitely threw that spook throughout the day.
And he never had to use a Senko. Shout out to
That's
Charlie.
right.
They weren't out yet.
That's right.
That's right.
Much respect,
Hey, man,
Charlie.
and there's some great articles on Charlie, and I recently modified the -1, the big one, and I put it on my social media, drilling a hole in front of the front hook to get the 2 ballast lead weights out of it, and drilling a hole in the back and putting them in the back, and making a super hard thumping waker cranker. Haven't caught anything on it, but I've thrown it. Actually, I did. I caught it. I caught a bass in my test pond on it, but I did throw it a little bit. Where did I throw it? Threw it on Gaston a little bit. No luck there, but I can't wait to get it on a grass fishery when they really start turning on to the shad and see what happens.
Nice.
So,
like
we got some messages rolling in on the IM board. Eric's refrigerator magnets on the IM board wants to know, Eric, what did you spend your winnings on?
Let's see. We took home 8,600 for the win and about 1,400 for entry fees next year.
Use some of those team trails up here.
Yeah, I haven't figured out what I want to get. I got my eye on a couple, well, maybe one new conquest next year. Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm spending throughout the year, and my senses tell me I've already spent my winnings. So, don't spend it all in one place.
I got you. Okay. These viewers are very observant.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, I got a question for you, man. Since the shaky head got a lot of press tonight, right? And any not throwing a shaky head or a Ned or a drop shot is, a sleep or a Senko. What's your favorite shaky head today? The actual shaky head itself. And then if you could only fish one worm, shaky head worm, what would it be? What color? I keep seeing this question on the IM. Can you dish? Because I got mine.
Man, it's actually a really good question because I guess my best all-around shaky head, I don't actually know the name of it, but it's a Gamakatsu Shinfukai shaky head. It's kind of got a bass boat design on the actual head design where it's got a keel to it, and it's got a great skip and shaky head.
Yep. I saw you skip that thing.
Typically, I would say on average 1/8.
Light. Yeah.
I
lightest you can get away with, right?
Light as I possibly can with a shaky head, just because I think it outfishes heavier weights on average.
100%. What's your setup, man? Okay, so worm next, and then rod reel, break it down, braid to fluoro, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, so worm, I'm going to have to go with Old Faithful, man. A Zoom finesse worm.
Yeah, man.
It's just I've caught more fish on that worm than probably any other worm out there.
Wow. Color?
Wow, color, depending. I'll tell you a color that I really like, and it's plum.
Damn,
that's one of my favorite colors, especially in river systems.
No question about it, man. Plum, blue fleck. I mean, I was throwing red bug down at Gaston for the deeper fish. It was a little stain. They ate it up, man. And the Berkeley guy that they had on the show with Ike, they say bass can see red better than any other color. Who knew?
Right?
Yeah, right.
That was pretty good stuff. I got to weigh in here. I got to weigh in here on the shaky head that I use is the Pro Slider head. And it's they got it where you can get them in a 3/0. I've used that slider head forever. We used to use them with the actual slider worms back in the day, but the Pro Slider has a heavier gauge and you can go up to a 3/0, but it's got the line tie up in the front so that you can use it effectively through moss and wood and grass and a variety of habitat. Comes through everything better, and the 3/0 allows me to throw a big worm because I throw the trick worm on it.
Yeah, Pete, what's your favorite colored trick worm if you had to pick one?
Man, it's just I like that worm. The color that people don't throw is that black grape. And
that's right, man, old school.
Yeah, it was a worm that everybody caught them on forever, and of course, you got to have your green pumpkins, your watermelons, and all that stuff.
Sure.
But when you got a little bit of stain to the water, that black grape, that old school, is something else.
Dang right, man. What about line size, Greg, Pete, for your fluoro leader? I'm sure you're going braid. Are you going 10 or 15 pound braid? And then what about your main line?
So my braid's going to be on average, I'm going to say 15 more than anything as far as braid goes. So my leader, man, it depends. If I'm on a river system, I'm going to go 12. If the barnacles are heavy, I'll go up to a 15. But 10 to 12 on a shaky head is probably on my rod more than anything.
Favorite leader material? I got to know, man, because I've been skipping around. High seas. All right, cool.
How long is the leader? Because the one thing from as a my perspective, I use less braid to fluoro leader, even drop shotting Great Lakes. I'll do straight fluoro because if I have break offs, I'm constantly the leader shrinks and shrinks. I don't want to spend time in the wind and the waves retying braid to fluoro. So how long's your leader?
Yeah. So the way I do it is basically I reel the fluoro off the spool until I feel the knot just above the actual spinning rod.
Right.
And then from there, I pick the rod straight up and I cut it right at the rod at the reel.
So like 2 rod lengths?
So like 14 feet on average. I'm using a 7-foot rod.
Okay.
Yeah, 14 feet. I always try to keep my knot ahead of the spool. I don't like burying it inside of there.
Right. Yeah. I've seen guys reel and put 30,
I
30
almost
feet
feel like
on
that's
there.
taken away from the braid. That's why I don't do it. Taking
Okay.
away my sensation, taking away my hook set, taking away a lot of that stuff.
Seth Fider has an interesting leader length, which he talks about on Bass U, which I think is really cool and interesting. And I don't do it, but he likes his leader knot to be on the surface of the water when he's fishing. So his leader length is dictated by the depth of water that he's at, and he wants that knot to be there. I think it's also a lot of guys that use the FG knot, and I personally think a lot of the longer leader length is because the FG knot requires a little bit of effort and time to tie, and longer leaders allow them to deal with that a little bit better. We don't have to retie it that much throughout the day, if at all. But I'm a shorter, I mean, I'm 5 feet, man. I typically use a short leader length, and I tie an Albright knot with crazy glue. I can tie it so fast, and it never fails. And you
crazy glue it, Pete.
I crazy glue it. It's
cool.
Crazy glue takes a bad tied knot and makes it 100%. And it's tremendous. It really is a big tool that you need to use a lot of. But shorter leader length, I use Gamma Edge, man. It's same. It depends on the habitat. You can get heavy with it, but when you got barnacles and zebras around, I mean, you gotta be careful with the leader length on it. But I'm always using 10-pound test mainline. A lot of shaky head talk, man. People don't talk about shaky heads.
I know, man.
Because of the Ned.
Yeah, the Ned, the drop shot
has the spinnerbait, the chatterbait, same thing.
The chatterbait eliminated the spinnerbait, and the drop shot Ned eliminated the shaky head. But man, they're still killers.
Absolutely. Until Riz won on the spinnerbait, right? Riz, was that part of your program on winning? Okay.
It was the chatterbait that got me to where I was, and then late day 2, the spinnerbait was the adjustment that
you
know what I mean?
But spinnerbait, like the combo, it's the 1-2 punch. It just shows you don't forget about proven tools.
What made you change?
So basically, I had an area where I felt like I could get bites on the chatterbait, and when I went back and the tide was getting right, late day 2, and I got one bite when I went back to my main area, but it kind of dried up for me for a while, and I don't know. I saw that spinnerbait just laying on the deck of my boat, like it wasn't even tied on. It was just like laying on the boat. I was like, that probably works pretty good. And I went to slinging it, and I started fishing it fast, like I was fishing for smallmouth up north, and for whatever reason, man, they really wanted that, and it was combined with the steep edge of the grass, and got the deal done.
Man, depth and speed. That's just such a great lesson in depth and speed. Hey, Sean, I know a lot of people have asked me like how I organize my tackle as a co-angler or partner in the boat, and my favorite bag, if they still make it, is made by Spiderwire. It's a backpack kind of thing, but one strap, not 2 straps. It's not like an actual backpack. It's just a sling strap.
Okay.
It's small. It's got a ton of pockets, and the zippers are bulletproof. I mean, I'm hard, and I jam a ton of tackle in there.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm doing now for my terminal tackle is I'm using these travel pouches. So they'll come in different sizes. And so I'll put my hooks in one, my weights in another. So I'll really try to jam a lot. I want to be prepared for every situation. I bring way too much stuff, but that Spiderwire bag is the joint. And then I go with the. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I still see them at Dick's. That's where I got them. And for everybody else, look, I love the thin Plano boxes. They're thin. So, they're not double wide. So I can get 3 different types of boxes in. I might have I have a crankbait box. I'll have a jig chatter swim box. And then I'll have a top water box. If I'm it really covers all scenarios for me. I get 3 of those in the main compartment. So that's super helpful to me. And then you can jam, your plastics. And then I do one more thing. This is kind of crazy. On that Spiderwire bag, it has these little chartreuse hoops. And then I take a golf towel ring and I put my plastics on that golf towel ring and attach them outside the bag. So those plastics are hanging off the bag. It looks kind of funky, man. But I mean, I can go get it if you guys want to see it. It's
we want to see that.
I'm in the market for a new bag, so I'd like to see it.
Yeah,
Papa got a
and then
bag.
they make a bigger spider wire bag if you really want to go big. That might suit you better, Sean. The bigger spider wire bag. And then I do one more thing for my leader material. If there's anybody out there that fly fishes, they have these little hoops, and it has one of those carabiner clips, and I hook that on the top, and then I have 3 or 4 different spools. I'll have because on my top waters, I'm throwing 30-pound braid, the 20-pound or 17-pound XT. I get a longer cast. I get a real super positive hook set on it. So I'll have my 4 little loops of different leader material. So let me go get the bag. I'll be right back. It's sitting out in the mobile bass. All right, I'll be right back.
Let me take that question and run it to you, Sean. What do you do about your tackle and your rods? Because that's one thing that I've seen great advancements in the last decade, man, is how guys are able to manage their gear, get it down to the boat. It's always been a real, difficult thing. But what do? Do you like Velcro all your rods together? Do you have how do you handle it?
Yeah, I do the rod sleeves and two Velcro straps, and I have one big Plano bag that if I can't fit it in the bag, I put my rain gear, I put everything in there. If I can't fit it in there, I don't bring it. I just want to bring the one bag and be done. The rod situation is tough because you really have to have versatile rods. You can't really have 10 different genre or technique specific rods. You have to have something. My chatterbait rod can also be a double as a crankbait rod if I change the reel out. And that's one thing that I'll do is I'll have 3 or 4 extra reels in my bag, whether it's backup fluoro reels or maybe a lighter fluoro for crankbait, or if we decide to go shallow and frogfish, I'm going to get my braid reel out with 50-pound braid on it and put that on something. So I'll have a few different reels because you can only have so many rods, but you can have as many reels as you want. So I have to be ready for a number of changes throughout the day.
Sure. I remember back, when the greatest thing was when you'd show up to a spot and you had a bunch of fish that were hot. You could always, especially after a long boat ride, you could always count on your co-angler to be spending about 30 minutes untangling his gear.
So true.
And you could get it in, man. You could get 3 fish caught sometimes before they could get the crankbaits out of their shoe.
Is that why the boaters drive like bats out of hell the first thing in the morning just to make your stuff get all tangled?
Yep. You trim way up and you hit as many boat wakes as you can right before you get to your fishing spot.
Dude, that is so sneaky, man. That's so sneaky.
But it doesn't happen anymore because of the rod sleeves and the lure protectors. Most often, the co can get his rods out and fishing before you can even get your trolling motor in the water.
Well, you bring up one thing I wanted to talk about. It goes way back to setting the stage for the day and being a courteous co-angler. And I'm not saying this to kind of promote myself or whatever. I'm just saying it's just the way that I am. I fished I made the second day cut on the BFL Super Tournament on the St. Lawrence River, and I fished with Curtis Richardson, who's a dynamite smallmouth fisherman. And we pull up he was fishing buoys just on our way out to St. Lawrence. He would hit random buoys. And it was like a 1 or 2 flip thing. And we pull up to the first one, and I was ready. I had my rod ready, and his wasn't. His were all tangled up. He was getting his ready. And he looks at me. He's like, "Aren't you going to fish?" And I said, "I know what we're doing. Not until you fish." I didn't feel right, flipping in front of the boat. And I felt like that would be a bad way to start the day.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's real important to have that camaraderie with the guy and at least let him know that you're not going to try to be a dick.
Yeah. Man, you set the tone right out of the gate, man.
Yeah.
That's good. So I got the bag if you guys still want to see. So
yes,
this is the spider wire bag. So this is the clip I'm talking about for my leader material, man. It's right there for me. So I got my my 10 FC sniper, and then I got my 12 Tatsu, and then I threw some Yuzuri in there, and this is my 20-pound or 17-pound. I think it's 20-pound XT. for my top water. So that really covers my basis for leader material. Depending upon what I do, I can change it out. But, you know, you see how it's got the clip. I put it right there on the top of the bag. So that's super fast for me for my leader. If I'm drop shotting or shaky heading or Ned, you know, and then I have my little clips right there, you know, attached to it as well. So it's right there at my feet. So this is the thing I was talking about. This is how I attach it. I'm going to, for BTC, pull off the Senko one. So you see these little side, these little chartreuse things? See how I have my little plastics attached to it?
Yeah.
And that's a golf towel ring. Yeah, shower curtain thing, right. So it's really easy, you know. So I got my Maxent Berkeley stuff here. And let me tell you something. If you're a Senko thrower, Pete, I don't know what it is about that Maxent Senko, but those tidal fish, holy crap. I'm not saying it gets bit better than a regular Senko, but I'm almost certain it does. I couldn't keep them.
That's funny.
I couldn't keep them off it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm throwing black blue. It's a great color for the fisher. I was fishing this last weekend. The fish had pulled strong to the wood. They weren't giants, but holy crap, they were eating it nonstop. And it was just, it was pretty extraordinary. And remember, we're both flipping Senkos, and I'm flipping behind somebody, right?
I've started to incorporate them and trying to assess whether or not that scent is key, you know, and whether or not it matters. But it's something I'm playing around with.
John Cox.
I tell you,
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. When John Cox speaks, people listen. So I'm going into the compartments, and I'll show you. So, you know, this is my little spinnerbait deal. So I have my little river specials in here. I've got a couple, triple blades I really got a mixture of spinnerbaits. This is enough for me that covers all my scenarios. And then I'm going to show you one of my little skinny Plano boxes, just so you get a sense of what it's like. And this is the thin Plano. See how thin that is? So I got thin. One.
It's like a crepe Suzette.
Yeah, it is a crepe Suzette. So I'm pulling out 3 of these. So boom, this is my top water box. I got my Ricos, I got my Sammys, I've got my little Japanese crazy stuff. I've got some one knocker spooks. I've got I've got some stick baits. That covers every scenario that I could think of. I love variety. If you guys don't know me, you probably do now. So, and then that's my crankbait box, super shallow. If I know I'm shallow cranking and I'm not deep cranking, this is my go-to box for just about every scenario, up to 6 to 8 feet, because where I fish, that's deep. I'm in the dirt with Scooter nonstop and most of my partners. And this is my swim jig chatterbait box right here. So I got my bases covered, and then I just keep my trailers and plastics on the outside of my bag. My terminal tackle is in the other compartments. This thing holds such a volume. Sean, I don't think it's right for you because you're carrying your rain gear. I'm wearing mine. I might, if I have pants, I'm just, I'm kind of wearing it out, right? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Know, man. You might get a good storm that rolls right through that kitchen.
It's hurricane.
Hey, man, it is. Oh, geez, I came down. I'm in the Outer Banks right now, and I came down and it was honking 30 miles an hour, and I fished in that same weather this past weekend, so I'm a little wind whipped right now. So I can go through the other compartments, but yeah, what do you need?
Hold up that top water box one more time.
Sure.
Let me.
What do you want to see? Is there something
now, correct me if I'm wrong. One lucky Bass U subscriber is going to win that box.
Yes. I'll give you a little. There's some gems in here, man. I'm not going to show this whole bait, but I'll just show the tail end of it, okay? And I did tie that tail feather. I threw a little red feather in there. I customized all my stuff because I used to be a fly fisherman, so I could tie my own shit. And so the end of this popper's got a little propeller on it, but there's more to the story.
Let's hear it.
And I tell you, I threw it down at Bugs Island. And they
Dude, if you don't show the rest of that topwater bait, there's going to be a severe penalty.
Let's go.
This is Bass University. This is Bass University, man. You got to show.
He teaches, man.
All right, man. All right, man. It's got a blade on the bottom too. It's the Binsky. And it walks like a champ. It plops, it pops, and it just gets bites. You cannot overwork this bait. It's not a Rico.
Hold it back in front of the camera.
Sure. This is one of my kind of like.
Yeah, yeah. More
A
that
Binsky.
way. More to
Didn't
the
even
left.
know top a little bit.
Oh, almost
Oh, he
dropped the
lost it.
entire box. Yeah, almost dropped the entire box. That would have been hysterical. And how's this? How's that?
There you go.
Can you see it?
Oh, wow.
There it
It's
is.
got a prop on it, too.
Yeah.
It's got one of
and a
everything.
spinner.
It's a bag of spoons.
It does,
Lord.
man.
Buzz
Yeah.
bait, spinner bait in one.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
You even saw a Cinco on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A couple black Senko trailers be perfect. Just right.
But
How
anyway,
long did you
man,
take-
I
how
hate, I hate showing it, but I had to.
What else?
Well,
you
I'm glad you did.
Oh, there's some gems in here, man. We could do a whole topwater show on what I've learned.
We're gonna do
Next
we're gonna
Tuesday.
do a crankbait show with you. You're on my list, D.
Oh, dude, man, I can't wait, man. That'd
Yeah.
be crazy. We got to go to the Bass Lab for that, man, because But I kind of got a rolling crankbait box in my truck, but no, not near what I got at home. So
No,
I would love to do
no.
it. Yeah, I would love to do it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis finally come back?
Oh, they had
Travis.
They had a show, man. The most recent show. Eric was on his game. Travis, I don't know. I don't know what he was doing.
Was he hunting Sasquatch up there? What's he doing?
I don't know what happened to him up there, man. I think he just got used to the New York lifestyle, and PA was
disheveled, man.
stressing him out.
He was. He did not.
He looked like
he
a
was
Quaker.
head down. Like I
I
don't.
even took a screenshot during that show just to show
He was yawning, complaining about bee stings up in New York. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He goes, we got to get back on our game. I'm like, I'm just a guest. Dude, it's your show. What are you talking about? Get after it.
Dude. All he got to do is wind you up and let you go, man. He can just put his feet up. So the show's over.
Does it have anything to do with the newborns?
Oh,
maybe. It
Sleepless.
could. I don't know, but he was up.
So let's be
He
honest.
was up. Yeah, right. Too many alien sightings at night. Stargazing. I call him Moeller. Scully and Moeller.
Well, it was. I'm glad you took some time to hang out with us, man.
Thank you.
We want to get into your custom stuff because a lot of people are into that and can really relate. And nobody has a lure collection like you do, except for my son. Except for my son does. Yeah.
Nice.
He does because he takes everything that I get. I lose it immediately, and it goes into his collection.
That's awesome.
He's the only one that can rival you, and
I love it, man.
Yours are amazing.
Well, thank you, man. Pete and I met, man, through Steve Chaconis at a bass show, and we started talking about Jerry Lore's lures. And Pete, I hired Pete to take me out on a bass class, and man, did I learn a lot from the dean that day. And you really helped fuel the fire that was already there. For handmade and wooden baits. That Jerry's Lures Little Speedy, which you duplicated and replicated with Bob Allen. You set me on the right path, dude. You have helped me catch some big fish in tournaments, by the way. You helped me succeed. So thank you for that.
Oh man, it was great to work with you, and we worked together on that project, actually trying to get some components for the flat side.
We did. Got you the OG lips, man, that went in those things, man.
Yep, for sure. The great Bob Allen, who's been hand carving crankbaits for his whole life, and it was great to have him work on mine, and I appreciated that. And appreciated fishing with you. Big time.
Absolutely, man. Really enjoyed it, and my day with Greg DePalma, man, on the Ike Foundation tournament. Greg, I've never seen anybody whip a buzz bait back into a little gut like you did. You were sending that bait, and I was waiting for a 4, a 5, a 3 to uncork. I mean, what a captain for the day, man. That was just an epic day on the water with you and Mike Powers. I know he's watching tonight, and a nod to the drop shot, man. All 5 of our fish came on a drop shot. We won't talk about the bait.
Yes, I won't say a word. I understand now why your name is Epic Eric. It was just an incredible day.
Wasn't that stupid,
it unfolded
dude?
like a story, man.
Unbelievable. I thought we won the boat, man. But I mean, I'll take third, dude. But the way it ended was just insanity.
It was crazy.
I've never. That was just one of the thrills of my year, and certainly my tournament fishing career, man. So thank you for that. I hope we get to do it again.
You guys.
Right on.
And a shout out to the Ike Foundation.
Yeah.
Oh, big time, man. Great cause and great tournament. What a tournament, man. I want to do it again.
Did you get to do this year, Eric?
I didn't. I had a tournament conflict, and Travis was all sore at me because it was supposed to be me, Mike Powers, and Travis. And, I did go out and practice with Travis, and he took none of my grass advice and ended up watching the winning bag caught in the grass. He went down to the gunpowder searching for fool's gold. I have no idea, man, but he's hard-headed. That's all I can say. Travis, if you're watching, man, I know a little bit about grass, bro.
Dude, there was like 35 winning bags caught out of the grass that day.
It's unbelievable.
That was stupid.
The flats are just stupid.
Every
They
fish
can't
on
be beat.
that day.
It's unreal.
It can't be beat when it's on. It's just flat out. That's what I tell people all the time. If the grass is on, good luck. You're not beating it.
Lots of limits caught there. I hope they come back again next year on the flats. They were so successful. They had the biggest draw they've ever had for the Ike Foundation. So I'm hoping that they'll come back next June. But it was a blistering tournament. But
yeah, I got my trip with Ike coming up, man, this fall, man. I bid on it, and 2 people won that night, and I was the second winner. And so I don't know where we're going, but I'm ready. I'm bringing some crankbaits to talk about and maybe trade. I don't know. We'll see.
What are you doing? You want a trip with Ike?
Yeah, I bid on it at the Ike Foundation dinner, and so I'm looking forward to fishing a day with Ike, man.
Cool, man. That'll be a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, no doubt.
Excellent. BTC, what do we got in the queue for tonight? What else do we got?
We got a grand prize trivia question coming up. We could hit that.
Oh, that's
we gotta
right.
Announce our Facebook like and share winner. Greg DePalma. Why don't we do this right now? GDP's got a little something for us.
Yeah, you want to see it now?
Yeah, let's do it
It's
now.
nothing crazy. I want you to know that before we start.
Well, that's not what you said last week.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll blow your hair back then, Sean.
So yeah,
hair don't care.
You guys hang out.
I don't know how this is going to work, guys.
Let's do this.
All right, Eric. Let me ask you, because maybe you got an answer, maybe you don't. Do you do anything special with your Carolina rig as far as I'm gonna say the word out there as far as marking your leader length?
No, I do not, man.
Well, I'm gonna
talk to me. I love it.
It's not where I saw this go.
Well, I actually have a couple tips with this.
Okay.
Sean, can I have that little bucket?
Yes,
My
sir.
Savior bucket.
Marking
Days
your
in,
leader
huh?
lamp.
Yeah.
Perryville?
What's the backstory on that bucket, Greg?
All right,
Days
so
in Perryville.
I knew this was coming, so I might as well just say it. So this bucket right here, I borrowed from Days In. This bucket right here,
Nice.
last year when I was on Lake St. Clair, I used it because one of the other pro anglers said, "Dude, a bulk spool turns in this thing perfect." Sorry.
Oh,
Days In.
wow.
Everybody else is going to be taking them now.
Look
so
at
anyway,
that.
Not only
Who was the pro angler? Turned you on to that?
Jacob Prosnick.
Okay.
So basically, this was meant to be for my fishing line, but it ended up being my boat bailer because I almost sank in that tournament because my pumps failed. So thank
my
God for this
God.
thing. If I didn't have this, I'd have sank straight up because I had nothing else.
Wow.
At this time, I would like to say that the Bass University does not subscribe to Greg DePalma's use of the
Does
Days
not
In
promote Greg
ice
DePalma's.
bucket and accepts no responsibility for anything taken on the table at this time.
This is true, Pete. All right, so here we go. I'm actually just going to tie this up really quick because I don't have it prepared. Brian hit me hard.
Oh, come on.
All right, leader length. Mark your leader length. I got a simple, I like measure out an arm's length, and I either go to my right shoulder or my left shoulder, depending.
That's
if
what I
want
do.
Now I'm going to
short
tell you the
leader or
problem
I want
with
a
that once
long
I get
leader.
into this.
All right, cool. I can't wait to hear because that's how I do it, Pete.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Okay,
a
so when
general.
you do it, the problem
for me.
is there's no way by doing it that way your accuracy is 100%.
True.
Agreed.
I used to do it forever with a marker, because I learned years ago on Lake Champlain, where I learned how to throw a Carolina rig. I learned just like a drop shot, that leader length is just as important sometimes.
Wow.
So I'm just going to pull a bunch of line here. Brian, I don't know if you got to do a zoom once I get in on.
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
gonna
Go ahead, do
here,
your thing,
but-
dude. You do leaders, I'll do producing.
I think a lot of times when I'm,
He's so mean to me.
he can be rough. I tie the leaders like you do for fly fishing. I would wrap them around stuff. I tie the hook and the swivel and I would wrap them around a cardboard box. I use a piece of tape to tape the leader on, so that when I have to replace a leader, I can do it in half the time. It's
good call. I used to do that when I split shotted, Pete, because there's the finesse version of Carolina rigging is split shotting, and that's a forgotten art. And let me tell you, in grass, split shotting, pre-spawn is filthy, dirty.
I agree.
Technique. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Brian, you're up.
And you'd lose a few.
Yep. I call it a mini Carolina rig, and that's what I do. It's a great tool, like for where we fish on the Potomac and the Chesapeake, Eric. It's so great when you're blind fishing for fish, because you can cover the water so
you sure
efficiently.
can. Yep.
And it gets them to bite. I don't know what it is about it, but the weight comes through the nest.
It does.
The bait comes after, and it can trigger those fish that you can't get otherwise.
All right, Pete.
All right, here we go.
We're ready for you, man.
Here's the deal. Okay, so my line's all tangled up. Let's just say, for example, I know that my leader length needs to be right at that second eye of my rod. That's where my weight's at. So I want to mark that perfectly. And you could use a marker and put a mark on your line, but this is how I'm going to do it. I am going to take my line right here, exactly where it's at, take my fluorocarbon, and I'm literally going to put the biggest crimp in that line. Just like that. Now, as you can tell right here, my line is marked. That's a great part about fluorocarbon. It's got a lot of memory. So from there, I'm going to take my hook. Here's the deal. Once I can get it, lighting is incredible in here. Take that. You see it pretty good, Brian? Yep. Now I'm going to take it all the way down. I got my crimp on there. You got to line it up just right with your crimp. So it's right there. You want to lay your hook right inside that crimp. So from there, I'm going to lay it on there, and I'm going to do it straight up like that. Now, because it's on my crimp, it's dead nuts perfect. That's the deal. So I make a small crimp in my line. That's exactly where my hook needs to go, and that will put my leader length exactly where I want it to be at, as far as on the hook and on the eye of the weight and everything you're trying to do. So just by making a small little itty-bitty crimp in the line, that's how I set my leader length. If that makes sense to you guys. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that's it.
So how important is leader length? Talk on that.
So Brian just asked how important leader length is. I would say, and if I had to put a number on it, some days it does not matter at all, but I have seen it to where I was throwing the exact same setup as a guy that I was with, and his leader length was like 6 inches longer, and he whooped my butt, and then I changed it perfectly, and I got right on par with him. So is it important? Yeah, it's just as important sometimes as a drop shot leader length. That's how important it can be.
Dang.
So that's my crimp. As far as looking at my actual making, my leader length perfect by making a small crimp. Told you it wasn't crazy. Now, how many of you guys use bobber stops? Anybody?
On my Carolina rig?
On your anything, Carolina rig, flipping, anything.
Oh, yeah, flipping. Yeah, but
okay.
I never use them on my Carolina rig.
What do you guys do with your bobber stops when you're done?
Throw them away.
Probably cut them off, throw them away, right?
You can reuse them.
You can reuse them. Now,
That's
so
cool.
I'm going to show you how to reuse a bobber stop, but then I thought about it a little longer.
How do you reuse a bobber stop?
Why am I doing it this way when I can do it a different way? So with a Carolina rig, a lot of times, you always want to rig. Let me just share this, Brian, just because I don't think a lot of guys Carolina rig. So my line's all tangled up on there. So with a Carolina rig, you see I have my swivel, a bead, a weight. And just above that, you can see there's a bobber stop. You always want to throw a bobber stop. I know some guys are putting bobber stops on the actual in front of the knot also, just for more protection. But you always want to put one on the front of your Carolina rig. Number one, because there's no play as far as where this weight. A lot of times you throw a cast with a sea rig. If you don't have this on here, a lot of times in a big cast, this thing will actually slide and hit your guides on the cast. So you can bust a guide if you don't have this. Besides that, it really keeps the bait to the actual bead in place to make the most noise possible. Where if you throw a cast out there and this thing's way up this line, it's got to catch up and slide back down by hitting bottom. Now it's always in constant contact. That's the great part about a bobber stop. Now,
great freaking tip.
Now
How
we're
do you
using the
use
bobber stop. Now we're using them all. And one thing I could recommend to you guys when buying bobber stops, some companies sell bobber stops by pound test. Some companies sell them small, medium, large. I always tried to go to the smaller size just because I'm going to reuse them. I know they're going to get kind of wicked out a little bit on the inside. So I'm just going to take a bobber stop and I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it on this line right here. We all have them.
So you just revert? Do you just reverse the process?
No.
No.
Nope.
Oh, I'm trying to figure this out. This is
So I'm
fascinating.
just gonna
Because
use
you
the
know
bobber
the odd thing is I'm always out of bobber stops. Like
this
I
will
mean
save you, Pete. I mean you can.
I can't replace them enough. It's like you keep buying them, but they never make it back in your box, and you're out when you need one. You know,
You can reuse a bobber stop quite a bit before it gets worn out. So you guys can see I just got a bobber stop sitting on my fishing line. You know, nothing crazy. Sean, do you reuse yours? You use them over again?
I have. I don't have a real. I'm interested to see this method. I don't have a great method of doing it.
So I have two methods. So here you go. Let's say I had a bait on here. I cut it off. I got about, I don't know, 1.5 foot of line left over. It's just fishing line, open end on both sides with a bobber stop in the center. So let's just say that this is my fishing rod and reel, and I want to put the bobber stop back on my main line to a different rod or something different. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the line again that has the bobber stop on it. You want to just tie a simple overhand knot on the actual, two tag end line. Simple, I can't even tie it.
Is the bobber stop like inside the knot? You trying to...
Right now the bobber stop, messing me up, Pete. Right now the bobber stop. So all I have right here, where I got to go, Brian. So this is the line that I cut off. Is all I did was I tied an overhand knot. The bobber stop is sitting right here. I don't know how clear that is.
We got you.
I guess you guys can see.
You're good.
So from there, I'm just going to pinch that knot. I'm going to grab my fishing line that's coming off my rod. All I'm going to do is put that line right into the actual overhand knot that I made. From there, I'm going to pinch everything tight. Okay? And you want to lube this up a little bit too because you're going to slide something right over it.
Oh, get in there.
Yeah. So I would say the step that, if you guys watch this on the internet, the step that's not talked about is how they actually do it. Is all they just do is put it on there and they show you and they pull it tight. You want to take every line except for the main line that has the actual bobber stop on it. You want to grab all three of them. Okay, because you're now sliding over all top of them. So what we're going to do is just slide that bobber stop over all these. Bam. Bobber stop on my new main line. So
it's like David Blaine.
So it gets better. What? Yeah. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, all right, let's say I'm completely done. Why can't I put this bobber stop back on the thing that I bought that has all the bobber stops on it? So you can. Yeah. So what you want to do, and I never seen this anywhere. So this is just Greg DePalma being Greg DePalma.
Nice.
In the third person. This is kind of like some Eric stuff right here. So
yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one of my strands that I've already taken off my bobber stop. It's got no bobber stop on it. It's just the metal. This hole is extremely small. I heard that, Brian. I kind of knew that was already coming.
VTC.
I got the first one. There's actually no hole in it.
This is fascinating. It has captivated everybody how to conserve a .01 set bobber stop.
I know that sounds funny, Pete. I get it. So what you're going to do is I just ran my line right through one of the pieces of metal. Okay? Yep. So it's just my bobber stop metal. Simply, dude, is all you have to do is take this line. It's a little bit tight. Take this line. We're going to reverse that process we just did. We're just going to tie an overhand knot on the metal itself. Cinch it down to the metal. That's super hard. I probably shouldn't wear a black shirt tonight.
That's good, dude.
Put it from my face. Cinch it onto the metal. From there, we're just going to take our piece of metal that we tied our overhand knot on, hold that down, pull the bobber stop right over it. That's all you got to do.
Crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. So, bam, pull line.
Unbelievable.
Line off. So when it gets to this actual small knot, you got to cut it a lot of times. We almost pulled it off.
That is something I have never seen.
That's it.
Nope.
Cut it. Bobber stops
Dang.
attached.
Now that's a hack.
How's that?
That's a
That is.
bait
Does that
hack.
work?
All right.
So, you can save yourself $2.99 if you wanted to. But the cool part about it is, like Pete just said, I used to
You run
always
out.
find myself reaching for bobber stops because I was burning through them. Now, I just keep reusing them.
Yep.
So, quick couple of tips for you guys.
VMC stock just went down, man.
I'm getting good at probably hurting guys' stocks, it seems like, with these tips. But Brian wants me to give you guys a tip of the week, man.
Keep them coming, man. That's pretty unique, man. I've never seen that before, and I've seen everything. So that's pretty neat stuff. And I am always running out. I use them, and they're gone, man. I just that's it. The only thing I've ever been able to conserve is when I have to change weights. You just push the bobber stop up the line, and you switch your weights out, and you can keep reusing the bobber stop that way. I've been efficient that way, but I've never figured out how to do that stuff. That's pretty cool. Thank you, GDP.
Thanks, nice.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
Very nice.
Saves you guys $3.
Thousands and thousands.
That'd be long.
Yeah.
Longevity would be a lot of money.
Honestly, man, I can never keep them in my tackle box. I run out, so it's going to be a really cool deal. I'm ready to go to the trivia question, Brian. Are you ready for me to launch that trivia question?
I've got it.
You have the question?
I do have the question.
You want to ask the
the
question?
great and powerful Ken Duke did send me some trivia questions, but we're going to hold on to them, and there's some tough ones too. But we got one that relates to tonight's topic of co-angling. Who is the all-time winningest co-angler in FLW history? And as Pete pointed out earlier, that's in the books because there ain't no more FLW.
Nobody's gonna pass this guy because there are no longer co-anglers on the FLW tour, and so this is it. This is the top dog in the FLW tour co-angler department. In all-time earnings.
All-time.
And this is how we're doing it. You guys have a guess on how much money the all-time earner is?
Us guys guessing or somebody else?
Yeah, the room can guess.
On the money?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you got to guess. You know the answer?
I kind of know the answer. Yeah,
I
can't guess.
I'm going to say in the guess of money, man, I'm going to say 300,000.
Man, that's a good guess. That's a very, very strong guess. A little low.
Man. You already know it.
Nobody got it.
We'll let.
I'm shocked.
Eric, do you know this answer or no?
I don't know the answer,
What's
man.
your guess on
I
money?
don't know the answer. I'm going to say $500,000.
$500,000.
500.
Million. You're coming in high, but what I was amazed at is how many people are in the $100,000 club as co-anglers on the FLW tour. Now, this does not include the Toyota Series or the BFLs, and I think there's a whole pile of guys that have broke the six-figure mark over there. But there's 52 people over $100,000 in as a co-angler.
That's extraordinary.
Yep.
Probably
You know what would be
Bobby being
great
one of
is
them.
somebody. That's right. Somebody to do an analysis of, read the tournament results of those 52 100K anglers and see how they won their money. What was the number one lure technique that they used?
Finesse drop shot.
Thank you.
I think when Senko came out, it was definitely top of the list for probably 3-4 years.
Had to be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting in that there's the top two. Now, second place is tied with a couple guys, but the number of wins, the most wins as a co in the FLW tour historically are two pro anglers now
that
have made the transition. Can you guys guess who that is?
Can you tell us how many wins they've had?
First place has 4 wins, and second place is tied for 3 wins with a couple other guys.
4 wins.
Well,
Both are household names.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Justin Lucas.
Ding, 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 ding. That's first place. He's got 4 W's.
Damn, that's
Over
strong.
Is this for us, this trivia question, or for the board?
It's for the board. Well, it's for us. It's for everybody that's, we're just chatting, man.
He said the room.
For the room.
He opened it up.
The other one is currently fishing on the Bassmasters.
Ooh.
Or if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
You fished the Bassmaster, Sean?
On the pro side. But well, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. Stetson Blaylock.
Dude, I never saw that coming. Wow.
Nope, me neither.
Yep, he's won 3. I'm looking through some of the other highlights.
He's like a silent killer, man. He's really, really good. He's quiet.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Still no winner.
Still no
man.
Still no winner for the main question, which is who is the all-time winningest co-angler in FLW Tour history?
Wow.
I want to give a shout out to the FLW and Joe Opinger for hooking me up with some of these details. And I can't believe you stumped the field, Joe.
Yeah, Ken Duke, what you got? Where you at, Ken Duke?
Wow.
This may be the longest we've gone on a answer to one of our trivia questions.
Ken Duke is furious right now.
And one of the situations here, and I Googled this, and I couldn't find it in short order because the co-anglers aren't, they're not quite celebrated like the professional division is. So a lot of these stats are buried, and it's all in the co-anglers inner circle. These guys all know who the winners, who the champs
Plus
are.
the FLW website.
Is that a hint, Brian?
Could you find it over there?
It's tough to find shit out.
Yeah,
true that.
Man, but this one should be celebrated. I mean, that is quite an accomplishment, right? Because I mean, there have been legions of co's.
This guy's got a reputation too. I heard a few things. He's got quite the reputation.
There is a female on this top list of earners.
Really?
What? Oh, I remember that lady. What was her name? I remember reading an article about her. Didn't she travel with her husband?
Yep.
Yep. Oh, I can't remember her name. But hey, I do have a drop shot story from 1996 if you want to hear it. I swear I drop shotted in a bass top 150 on the Potomac with Ken McIntosh, the day one leader. And I didn't have a drop shot weight. I swear to God. Yeah, dude, I have stories about that day. Dewey interviewed me because he got in a fight with Joe Thomas. But I dropped in Blue Plains with a Gremlin clip-on sinker, pinch sinker, a Berkeley Power Worm 4-inch purple, old school purple.
Yeah.
I cut the tail so it wouldn't be curly. I basically made a cut tail worm, one-aught gamakatsu, and caught 3 fish in a row, swung on a white perch, caught him too. I didn't even know how to set the hook, by the way.
Caught him too.
And he goes, he looked at me, he had no fish in the boat. He goes, this isn't working. This is after the fight with Joe Thomas. And he left. He left.
How did the fight go with Joe Thomas?
Wow.
So we were in flight. He was the day one leader. I was in 4th place after day one.
Well,
and,
let me set this up a little bit. A lot of people don't know what Blue Plains is. Blue Plains is a discharge that discharges clear treated water in Washington, D.C. on the Potomac River. It's a community hole. It's won a pile of tournaments.
Yep.
And this guy was leading the tournament or in 2nd place.
Yeah, he was leading. He was leading day one. Ken McIntosh was leader day one. I was 4th place on the co-side. And so we're in the 2nd flight. Joe Thomas is in the 1st flight. Ken throws him some Yamamoto spider grubs, a handful of them on the deck of his boat. And he goes, Joe, but don't you get on my spot. Literally, we go up there, man, and Joe is sitting on the wall. If you know anything about Blue Plains, there's a couple key areas. There's a wall and there's a tree. And he's sitting on the wall in the tree where Ken was catching his fish. And, man, it erupted. Fishburne was in the 12-boat circle fishing Blue Plains. I mean, it was screaming, FUs, hollering, man. And Joe just skulked off like he knew he just did a bad thing. And Ken was rattled from the beginning. And then I rattled him even more. And then Fish is in the background cracking jokes to, like, lighten the mood. Because we're all within sight and earshot of each other. And we just left. And we went down to Piscataway. I caught a couple -1 fish. He started burning the pad edge. We went back to Blue Plains, didn't catch any more there. And then he got another fight in Po Monkey Creek in the back with, I think, Basil Bacon or somebody, some old school guy. I mean, like in the dirt. And I'm like, I'm just holding my head going, oh my God, how many more fights can we get in?
If I was pissed off on the water, the last guy I want to hear is fish burn. I mean, if that's not going to set you over the edge, I don't know what
right?
Yeah, man. It was a crazy day, man. We were in Mattawoman, and he asked me if I had any access to something, and I'm like, no, dude, I don't. He needed to calm his nerves, and he's like, I know you do. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not helping. Because he was so spun out.
That's the best story ever.
Dewey goes, Eric, I need to talk to you. And I said, about what? He goes, about what happened on the water today. And I'm like, did I do something wrong? He goes, no, the two fights the two altercations. And so I gave him the story. And then, that was it. And I fished with Jim Bitter on day 3, who was so pissed off. The first thing out of his mouth was, I cannot wait to get out of this hellhole. Where do you want to go? I go, take me to Chickamuxon. The -1 bites on fire. We went there. And so got to fish my fish, man. So wow. And Pete, I think you won that tournament.
No, I don't. I didn't win that tournament. No,
it wasn't you?
No. Who he?
It was
I think
the Senko.
McIntosh. I think I might have top 10 in that tournament, but
yeah, I knew you were up there.
The McIntosh, I think, finished second at the end of the day. Is where he finished up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I caught my limit all 3 days.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think I misspoke. I did win that tournament. I crushed it. Matter of fact, total domination.
Did anybody guess the name yet? I was just trying to fill some time.
That's crazy. Judy Israel is
the
20th place co-angler of all time with the FLW.
Wow.
I
remember reading an article about her.
The first place guys won $358,000. That's the name we're looking for.
Wow.
Second place is just under $300,000.
Unbelievable.
Gary Haraguchi, who we talked to, and we're going to have him on some. He's fishing a BFL with Scott Dobson. Shout out to Scott Dobson, who just won on the Detroit River, the FLW Toyota Series down there.
Nice.
And Gary is fishing with him. They have I think a 2-day BFL coming up this weekend that they're preparing for. Todd Lee is another super stud with $259,000, and Brian New $214,000. Justin Lucas coming in 8th place with $186,000.
Wow.
Hey Pete, isn't the guy that is the winningest? There was an article written about him, and I think the #1 lure he featured was a shaky head. That's what he fished. The shaky jig worm, the shaky worm.
Is that right?
I believe if I can dig that article up, man, I feel like I remember reading about it.
Well, he's got a little controversy that follows him. Brian was telling me about, and
every name in bass fishing's just been listed on the Bass U chat board. Almost every name.
Man, we have never not had a winner in like less than a couple minutes.
We might not ever get a trivia question from Ken Duke again after this, because Pete, your trivia question is just crushing right now.
Crushing souls.
I'll take credit for it, but Joe Opager over at FLW provided me with all the goods, and
Ken Duke's pulling his hair out right now.
We were just on the Potomac, Eric, and I don't think anybody was fishing up at Blue Plains.
Amazing, man. I went up north and I helped a guy practice that was in 12th after day 1. Yeah, he was. He was there. So Pete, he was in 12th place after day 1, and I took him to a creek, and he didn't go back. And I'm telling you, it was easy to catch the fish, but the way you had to do it was dead stick, a black and blue general, and I'm just going to say it, on a seawall. And they were all, and it didn't matter what tide it was as long as it was moving, because I like vertical cover when you get high water. and they were on the wood and they were on the docks and on the seawall. And it was we left really quickly because we caught 5 in a hurry, and he didn't go back. He didn't get his spot that he had day one. He thought the boater that was there was going to move, and he watched that guy catch 16 pounds in the grass. But I said, look, if you get in trouble, man, you got your limit in this creek. Go. And he didn't.
What tournament was this?
Your tournament.
Just this past tournament. I didn't. Oh, you were helping somebody in the tournament.
Yeah. I just helped him practice the week before.
I got you.
It's north. Can you guess the creek? I don't want to say too much.
Little Hunting Creek.
Oh, it's close. That's a very good guess, but not quite that far north.
I'm thinking of something that has seawalls in the creek, and it's not
that's the dead giveaway.
Yeah.
There's only one more with them.
FLW website down right now? What's going on?
I know. What's happening,
This is more proof that website's rough.
Rich, while we're waiting, why don't you pick one of the like and share contest winners?
There you go.
Can you do that? Yeah. All right. He's on it.
We might have to wait till the next show. I don't know.
Or a new trivia question.
Yeah,
we're gonna be.
I'm pulling the plug here in about 3 minutes.
I mean, we've been waiting like 20 minutes.
All right. Somebody Google the famous jig shaky worm, because I think it was an article that had that title. I got to do it. I'm doing this. All right, hold on. I remember reading it.
Well, I'm still sweating this tournament that just passed. It was such a cool deal. And one of the things that I really liked about it, and I was talking to Riz about this, and I want to see if it applies to the Upper Chesapeake, but the crawfish bonanza on the Potomac River is like nothing I've ever seen in my life. Just acres of grass and the moss with crawfish all over it. Have you ever seen that, GDP, on the Upper Bay? Have you ever seen the mats collect just volumes of crawfish?
Not on the Upper Bay, no. Potomac, I experienced it, and the most reddest, brightest colored crawfish I've ever seen was on the Potomac on top of a mat.
Right.
Wow. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yep. In the back of a creek on a full moon, it was like so red, bright orange. I was like a fire engine. It was crazy.
Yep.
A flame. I was shocked.
I did a video on it where you could look at where the seagulls were picking the craws apart and the remnants, and it was bright oranges and reds on a lot of the parts that they were leaving behind.
The video was sponsored by Double Mint or Wrigley's.
I missed the pun.
Oh, sorry.
I'm asking for an explanation.
No, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
All right, guys, we are so close with this answer. Somebody came incredibly close, but his last name is not a cereal. It's not a cereal, but it was,
But it sounds like a cereal.
Stranger Things on the message board. Come on,
We should just give it to him.
You're right there.
No way.
Right? Yeah, we're gonna call it, and like in 2 minutes, he's the closest answer wins. I'll take it.
So we'll be back next week, right? And we're going to work on the topic for next week. We're going to work on is this fall transition.
Damn, I won't be here for this one.
Man, is September a tough time?
I love it.
And me and Greg were talking earlier about how rough September can actually be.
I was just making Brian feel better.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. And I was thinking maybe the show is don't go fishing and just watch Bass U videos.
Yeah.
Because September can be rough, man. We got a winner.
Come on.
We got a winner. Finally.
Yes.
With my man J-Rod on the message board, the correct answer of Keith Honeycutt. Congratulations, J-Rod.
Oh, nice.
Borderline 11 about 5 minutes ago said Keith Honeycomb. And I tried to give you the hint that it's not a cereal, but congratulations, J-Rod. You won yourself an awesome prize pack.
Good
Everything
job.
that you can see over there on the table is headed your way.
And that's 20 more push-ups.
I'm not doing any push-ups because my shoulder hurts, but it's headed your way. You can see it. It's got Missile. It's got VMC, Rapala, Rod Warrior sleeves, Spro baits. Great prize pack headed your way. And we're about to select the Facebook like and share winner, which is going to receive a TH Marine gift bag, including a prop nut, a cull system, and G-Juice.
Very nice. Congratulations. What a whew. That was like a 30-minute. That's a record. That's the all-time record. I don't know if we'll ever break it again. But
Ken is out of his mind right now. It's literally the worst night of his life.
It's like public information too. It's like, Ken pulls stuff that nobody's ever heard of anywhere,
I know.
and it takes 31 seconds.
They're the greatest questions, and our guys get it instantly. It's insane.
I can't. I know I want to hear some controversy that follows that guy around. So maybe that'll be told on another day.
Yes. I've heard a bit too. I've heard of a pro angler took him to the bank and said, "I'm not fishing with you anymore." So,
yeah,
that's what I've heard. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Maybe we need to get Keith on here and hear his side of the story. But
True.
He's clearly won big. It's amazing, and
is.
so many of these guys, they've been to like 15 cups. They've just done so much. Even Moo, who was on with us earlier, has been, I think, to 5 Forest Wood Cups or 7. I can't remember, but it was a lot.
Man.
But it's good stuff. We have a like and share contest winner, Riz.
Yes, we do. Our like and share contest winner for tonight is Jared Shelton. Congratulations, Jared Shelton. Everybody who follows us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, please make sure you have your notifications turned on so that you can stay up to date with everything that the Bass University has going on.
And guys, we are releasing in 2 days Brian Thrift talking about fishing a chatterbait, and that's the guy you want to listen to about talking about a chatterbait. And
I just want to say, Pete, what you brought up Brian Thrift's name. Our guy in studio right here, Sean McKee, fished with Brian Thrift on Lake Champlain. Thrifty won that event.
Yeah, you should also ask him about fishing a Senko.
I've heard of that. When he's retying something, he just puts the rod in a rod holder and fires the Senko out.
It was a key bait on that day 3. He got him on other stuff, but he got a lot of fish on that wacky Senko.
Yeah, and you know, the reason I brought it up is I talked to Brian shortly after that. Matter of fact, Pete, I think he came to Jersey on his way back from Champlain.
Before he was here before.
He was all right. So he stopped in and did a show with us on his way up. But I talked to him afterwards, and he gave Sean a lot of props. He said,
"Oh, cool.
I got a lot of guys in my boat, and that dude knew what was up. A lot of guys don't figure it out, or said that guy knew what was up."
Well, who else won that tournament? Sean.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Well, I don't know if these guys know this or not.
That was every time I draw a pro, it's like I'm not really into it just because it's hard to fish behind pros. You guys fish so differently. And I drew him, and I was like, oh, crap. Day 3, and I'm in the lead, and I drew Brian Thrift. It's all right. Luckily, what he fished was very conducive to a co-angler, a lot of grass. And I got my bites early, and then he started fishing isolated rock piles and stuff, which was very tricky. But I got a few bites around. But I learned a lot just watching him. I spent most after I got my limit, I just spent most of the day watching what he was doing.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, he was very complimentary. Sean.
Oh, thanks.
Seriously, don't thank me.
Cool.
All right, Sean.
Thank you, Brian.
We're going to sit down and have a drink, and you're going to tell the rest of that story.
There's more, yeah, of course.
That Pete. I'll be listening.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear that, and I also want to. Well, there's a couple things we gotta mention here. Justin Kimmel, professional fish head program manager at Bass University, is entering tomorrow for the first time in the pro division at the Bass Open on Lake Hartwell. Tomorrow's the first day
that's his place. Nice.
Of competition. He's been working at this. He's been working at it between the ears for several weeks, and he's been on the water for the last 4 days, I think. And he is ready. He's ready, and I want to wish him good luck.
Yeah.
And go tear it up, man. We're going to be pulling for you. I don't know if he's going to go after spots or largemouth. I don't know what he's going to be doing tomorrow, but we're all going to be pulling for you at JK. Wish you the best. And I also want to give some big kudos. I have been producing Bass University TV for, quite a while. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I got to spend some time this past week with DDP in the boat. and he teaches us about sonar operation using down imaging, side imaging, and Mega 360 with Humminbird. And
nice.
It's fascinating. It's going to help you. It's as good of a seminar as I've seen done. And I want to say great job, GDP. That was wonderful work.
Thanks, Pete. I try my best.
Can't wait to see it.
And we're going to launch it next week.
Awesome.
You guys can look for the first part. That's going to be September 28th, which I think is a Monday. If that's not the right date, it's going to be this Monday. We're going to be releasing GDP, and you want to go check that out. It just makes it look easy. There's a lot of detail there, but it just makes it look so easy, and it's going to help you catch a lot of fish. So go check that out. And that's what's happening at Bass U TV. BTC, do we have anything else on the agenda tonight?
That
means we hit it.
I think we did.
I got one more thing
man.
just before. Like I know there's been some noise recently. You guys had Randy Blaukat on Ike Live, and
yeah.
he had that video about co-anglers and how you shouldn't be a competitive co-angler. And there's some stuff that I agree with, and he had some bad draws, but I don't agree with a lot of what he said. I think you can be courteous, you can be competitive, and there are ways to go about it. But I feel like there's one thing that can just kind of bring everything together, and I wish somebody maybe like what?
We need more love.
Yes. Maybe Bass University can sponsor this, but I think there's a lunker award at every tournament. There should be, if it's a pro draw, pro co. Why isn't there a largest bag, but combined bag for maybe make it a lunker, like what it is for a lunker fee? It's like a team prize. So whoever pro co gets the largest bag over the 2 or 3 days gets this Bass University lunker award or team award.
I like it.
Yeah. That way you are fishing together a little bit. You're not fishing against the guy. You can work together and try to put some big bites in the boat, and you have something at stake.
It's interesting. I know down at the U.S. Open, they pair the pros and the co's in the boat that day. Their weight counts together.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that's interesting, and it builds enthusiasm amongst the two people competing, and yeah, it's interesting, Sean. Just having a prize like that, something to encourage teamwork. That's pretty cool. It's a good idea. I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, I as far as Randy goes, I've got an observation about that recently kind of come up. I think he's somewhat misunderstood in a lot of the things he says, because he goes out on a limb and he says some stuff, right? And like he came out and he said some things about co-anglers, and there's some truth in it, and he was a little harsh about well, you shouldn't try to win, and I don't agree with that clearly, because you should always try to win. But like he had a criticism on electronics, right? And he got flamed pretty hard for that. And basically what he said was one of the things he said was it's taking the magic out of fishing, right? And like it kind of separates you from being in tune with nature, because you're locked into that electronics. You're not that old school Rick Clunn stuff, sleeping by the water, getting in tune, paying attention to what the birds are doing and the way the leaves are shaking and all that, and just kind of separating you from your intuition. And just a week ago, I was fishing up on Merrill. Me and Eric went out, and I was practicing for the weekend's event, and I was so locked into staring at the graph all day, I didn't realize what was going on around me, and it wasn't highlighted until a day later when Eric pointed something out to me. He's like, he kept saying like, dude, this is the weirdest sky today. Like, what is going on with this sky? Like, it's not sunny, but it's not cloudy. It's like it's overcast, but there's no clouds. And I kind of looked up at it and then just ignored it, because I was, practice mode. I had a lot of water to cover, and I'm staring at the electronics and didn't want to miss a thing, and just never really looked up. And it came to my attention a day later that the sky was overcast because of the California wildfires. The smoke from the wildfires 3,500 miles away was coming across here in Jersey and had us blanketed out. I missed an opportunity to experience something so different weather-wise like that because my head was so locked into staring at that graph all day. I did not notice the orange sun and just, I don't know, it just clicked, you know, like, damn, I was out of tune. I was halfway there. I was focused on part of the equation, but so focused on that part that I was separated from another part of it, which is paying attention to what's going on around you. And it just, you know, Randy's words, like, you know, it takes the magic out of it. And that is, you know, that connection with what's going on around you is kind of the magic of fishing.
Right on, man.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting, Brian. I don't know if I agree with it.
Well,
I don't know.
Give a shit.
We can go to Philadelphia.
You know, there's a lot of magic associated with, but I think the magic is definitely key. And you know, I love Randy. Randy is an extremely
I love Randy, but you don't agree with me.
Insightful person.
A bunch of bullshit.
He's so sensitive.
No. You know, I love the new electronics.
Yeah.
I think it offers a lot of you know, insight there. But I also love being outside, and I love that part of it. There's something about being in the hunt. I was in the hunt down on the Potomac this past week. It's a thrill.
We're still talking about that?
Here he goes. You know, it's something people agree with as opposed to what you just said. You know, but I love it. I love the opinion, and I think it's great that Randy puts it out there, man. It's unabridged. It's just there, and it's great, and I want him to keep doing it. Sure. And agree or disagree, but
spade
great conversation, man.
Throw Senko.
Yeah, throw Senko. Look up at the sun. You know, have fun.
You dick.
Hey, Brian, I looked at the sky that day too, and the sun looked like it did on Star Wars on Tatooine.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what is going on, man? But it was at the end of the day, so I missed it too, man. I'm right there with you, brother.
So what part didn't you agree with, Pete? Double down.
I just think the advancements in technology have been part of the sport of fishing forever. It's nothing new. That's my disagreement with it. Like when we went from 150 horsepower to 250 horsepower, suddenly we were going faster. Our boats are bigger. We got trolling motors that have bigger thrust. We can now hold in. I mean, you've been saying this since day one.
Yeah, but
that's not the when we went from flashers.
Point of what I said. It was
when we went from flashers to LCD units. They said the same thing. Takes the magic out. Now we can see what's down there. Who cares? It's not fair anymore. And it's been going on with every piece of technology. You know, that you know, we go to fluorocarbon and braid. Now it's an unfair advantage again. You know, it takes the magic out. You could say that about everything. So that's where I disagree. You know, I think
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I get what he was saying in that it distracted me from another aspect of the game, which was paying attention to your surroundings.
Well, that's true, but that's
thank you. You're welcome.
That's not.
Thank you, everybody. That's a great night.
That's not the sonar. That's not the sonar's fault. You were looking for that same stuff Ken McIntosh was looking for that afternoon. Yeah. We're going to wrap it up on this awkward moment here. Epic Eric, thank you, man.
Oh, man, thanks for having me on, BTC Riz. Thanks for reaching out, Pete, you too.
We're all coming down.
DDP and Sean, man, it was awesome being on the show.
Where the hell are you? Nags Head or Outer Banks?
Outer Banks, yeah. Nags
Outer
Head,
Banks. All right.
Yeah, well, I've got a championship on Falls Lake this weekend with Scooter.
Okay.
And it's a 2-day and fishing the Collins Marine Classic. It's for a boat. You know, it's a lake that he hasn't spent much time on. I've never been to personally, so I've been doing some research. And you know, the fall transition and turnover could be happening. That lake favors a couple key anglers that understand deep structure. If the lake turns over or starts to turn over, they'll go to the bank. If the lake is high, those fish have already moved to the bank. And we're getting some weather this weekend, so it could keep those fish on the bank. And so that's going to level the playing field. So I'm excited about that. Same thing that the clouds did to the dock fishermen in Gaston, because the people that understand the docks and the better docks on Gaston and put things under the docks on Gaston and in front of the docks really had an advantage. But the cloud cover didn't play to them. So weather looks like it's in our favor. The turnovers happen because of that cold blast that came down from Canada. So hopefully the fish stay shallow and it'll level the playing field for everybody, not just us. We'll see what happens.
Right
Wish you the best of luck. Keep us
Hey,
posted. Let us know how it goes.
Eric, what's your Instagram?
Yeah. At Epic Eric Official.
Yes.
At Epic Eric Official.
Everybody go follow Epic Eric.
Yep.
Greg,
Thank you, guys.
That's
Sean McKee.
awesome. Somebody pirated your Epic Eric handle?
No, I used to be flying fish, and so I got to give BTC and Eric the intern credit. I'm like, man, I mean, they're like, you got to change your name because Travis coined my nickname, Epic Eric. We had a couple epic days crankbaiting on the Upper Bay when I first met Travis and did my original videos with him. Showed him some of the Susquehanna crankbait community holes, man, but the fish were there. And so that's what he named me. And they're like, dude, you got to change your name. So BTC and Eric the intern convinced me. So there it is. It's stuck.
Shake it back.
And Epic Eric,
awesome.
Epic Eric wasn't available on Instagram, so I put official. Not that I'm official or anything. Still kind of uncomfortable with the handle, but whatever.
You're official.
You're official
No, man.
to us.
We got Sean
You're
here.
official.
We got Sean official.
What's
Yeah.
your Instagram?
From the Back Deck on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah, I
That's
write up a
very
lot
cool.
of my experiences on the water and just Instagram. I don't even know. Is it Henry Sean McKee?
Yeah.
I don't know. H. Sean McKee. That's it. H. Sean McKee. All right. There you go.
Hey, and Sean produced a soundtrack called Die Co-Angler Die because Sean is in a metal band.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
one of the
but
funniest
Travis
things.
came up with those lyrics. I just put it together.
So
We're
that's
actually
the
going to
odd part.
roll out to it. I got it on my phone. We didn't.
No way.
It came to me late. We didn't have a time to load it into the Wirecast here. So I'm going to roll it in my phone, and we're going to roll. It's harsh,
That's
baby.
classic.
Oh, I got to
Let's
hear
go.
it.
It features Travis
hear it.
Manson on vocals.
Does it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
he's
Yeah.
saying, I do the no co-angler, you will not catch fish today. That's me. The other one, you won't catch a fish on the back of my boat. That's Travis right there.
Shout out to Travis Manson.
I love it. Well,
let's go.
thank you, Sean. Are you going to be at the next tournament on Norman? Are you done for the year?
No, I'm going to Norman, then right to the James River for the BFL Regional, and then in
Awesome.
December, Lake Cumberland for the Toyota Series final.
Wow. Hey,
Yeah.
man. Good luck, Sean.
Thanks.
Good luck, man. Tight lines, dude.
Thanks, you too, Eric.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. I
Good
appreciate
luck.
it.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck to GDP. Got 3 in a row on the elites. We're going to be watching Gunnersville. I think
Nice.
it's next on the list.
Yeah, looking forward
Santee.
to that.
Yeah.
Man,
Damn.
some big hitters coming up. So we're gonna be pulling for you. Good luck and GDP or I already said GDP BTC.
Good luck to
and
me.
the Riz. Thank you guys.
Awesome show.
Thank you for everything. And guys, we're going to be back next Tuesday with another edition of Bass University Live. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thanks everybody.